ask him to do like 10 shirts than to ask him to do one.
And it is officially 7:30. Thank you all for coming to our Joint Board Executive Committee meeting today, August 4th, 2016, 7:30 p.m. All right. Item 2, roll call. I am chair. I am here. Hello. We're missing our secretary.
Oh, we
Fight.
have quorum.
Oh,
But we have quorum.
Yeah.
Marie,
Oh,
vice
because
chair.
Brian too.
Brian at large, Brian Frobisher.
Where do you want to sit?
I think I'm Marcy
Oh.
also at large? No,
No,
never mind. Still in?
You're an alternate.
Alternate, that's
Yes.
it. Right.
And I'm March Piani and I'm treasurer.
Okay. Do we have any public comments?
Possibly, because art was not on the agenda.
Art, yes.
Yes, I need art placed on the agenda because, as I mentioned last month, they're going to be requesting some funds for the community educationals that the GPNC will be part of.
Just so you know, number 8 on the agenda will be, not number 8, one of them was, what's in it? Am I smoking crack?
New business.
Yeah, there's one on here for adding things to the agenda.
And I have it in as well. It'll be on the official one.
Oh yeah, 8, it is 8.
And there's, I want, we'll be asking for some funding.
Cool. Do you know how much?
Not much, like less than 300.
Cool. All right. Any other public comments? All right. Next, discussion possible action to review the draft minutes for July 19th. And we do not have our secretary, so next. Reconciliation of fund and monthly expenditure report for July if provided.
Well, there's no way I can provide it since I didn't get receipts from everyone. It's a work in progress.
Okay.
It's a work in progress, and it's National Night Out that I need a reconciliation from in order to complete this in time for the meeting.
Sure.
That's it.
Gotta get you all those receipts.
Yeah, and also I understand that we submitted our budget to Dunn on time.
Cool.
That's why we had that special meeting. But I haven't seen it yet, and it hasn't been approved by Dunn yet. So in the point where it has, basically it's reconciling to our budget, we're in minuses because we don't have anything approved yet for the fiscal year. I believe it's because Mario was on vacation. I don't know for a fact, but anyway.
He's back now, right?
He is back, but he hasn't replied to any emails, so he must be underwater. I'm guessing. So yeah, I'm trying, but I'm getting kind of stymied every step of the way.
No, of course, no worries. Hello, Laura.
Hello.
Our Madame Secretary is here. And, alright, so, item 6. This is the meat and potatoes of the agenda. Review and propose agenda items for the general board meeting coming up on Tuesday, August 16th. And the first up is committee reports and recommendations to the GPNC board. The first one is bylaws. Who would like to speak for bylaws?
I'll speak about bylaws.
Go for it.
I'm the chairperson of that committee, right?
Yes.
Okay. But I did not attend its last meeting. So there are considerable things that will get discussed later on in this agenda about proposals to go before the board at its next meeting to amend the standing rule and the standing rules and the bylaws. The committee consists of 7 people, right?
9 now.
9 now.
2 at the last meeting.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't see any minutes because we don't require there to be any minutes for committees, although that might be changing according to the recommendations for the changes to the standing rules. So, okay, we've got nine members.
Yeah, Ben and Marie.
Oh, congratulations and welcome aboard.
Happy to be on
Yeah.
the committee, sir.
Okay. But that's all I have to say at this time.
Cool. Okay. How about grants and funding? Anyone here to speak for grants and funding?
I guess Bradley is not here as the chairman, I'm just a member. And the only thing they had was that one pending deal that I think they have in the agenda.
Okay. Cool. I saw he sent me an email today saying that he's going to be trying scheduling a meeting for the 10th. I think was that it? Okay, cool. Next up, land use.
I sent in the letters
Yes.
and your summary sheet
Thank you.
and some background information. I believe the only thing remaining is I will do a Google map for each one, except for Kenny. I think you already have that in the supportive documents.
Great, appreciate that. Outreach.
I'm sorry, one other thing on that. As I had said before, and I'm working on, is setting up a Planning 101 for the community. And I think I'll do this, keep this open to everybody, but focus on the GPNC and bring in other groups if they want to. And working with CD14 on this, so hopefully we'll have something set up as soon as possible so we can start getting everyone geared up. And I will also want a small dollar amount for that as well, just for some food and water.
Cool. Sounds good.
Do you wanna have it as a town hall?
I want to do this with the GPIA as well, so we'll think about it.
Okay. Next up is outreach and communications. Anyone want to speak for outreach?
You do.
I can speak for outreach. I'm not a co-chair anymore, but we had our national night out. This is the big story of this past month. We were getting all geared up, and this past Tuesday it finally happened. Could not have gone better. It was August 2nd. We had 2,000 people reportedly show up. People were leaving with smiles on their faces. We had all 3 council members attend. They gave speeches. There was all kinds of different demonstrations and trucks. It's a great event. Really, I feel like it energized us and kind of showed what the neighborhood council can do when we put our minds to something, and people responded to that. It's great. Very exciting. How about budget and finance?
That's the one that hasn't met in a long time.
Gotcha. And
It's kind of one of those committees that only meets when
when we need it.
either the budget needs to be drawn up in the beginning of the fiscal year, or something needs to happen to change some allocations and things like that.
And that's a standing committee, right?
It is a standing committee, I'm not exactly sure that it needs to be standing. I mean, or something like that, but it's, you know, in my experience, what about you, Art?
Nothing should stay that way, just meet when we have to.
Yeah.
At the times. And it is necessary to make sure you meet budget, so you set up the budget and fund that and change it.
Good.
I don't think we need to meet it.
No, there's no reason. I mean, once the budget is set, as long as it continues to be, you know, according to, you know, we don't go over our limits on any particular.
Or when they want to move money from one
Exactly.
deal.
Cool.
You don't need the committee as treasurer to help you?
No, I mean, once the budget is set, then we're just drawing from it. And realistically, if we want to move money from one allocation to the other, the board can do that at a board meeting. It doesn't really require a budget and finance committee meeting to say yes or no. But it doesn't hurt us.
The only thing that I find it nice is that the treasurer can be a part of it. They said, in the past, we were the last 2 treasurers. We never knew where we were standing because they were always behind, and it was not their fault.
Well, I think we're in good hands for the next year. Definitely. We have a reputation of getting stuff done.
Well, it's a tough job.
No, it's
Well,
definitely.
it's the pulling teeth part. It's the, please give me the information. I'm really good at it once I have the information.
And I still insist that the treasurer should not take any paperwork for a grant or anything unless it's complete. Because that's when you have the problems. You say, okay, we'll do it to be nice, but bring the whole thing for the board meeting, but you don't. Then the board gets blamed and the committee because they say, well, you said, and then they give you all the papers. So if I was you, I would not take. George did that, Smith did that years ago, and it worked fine because it wasn't complete. That way they could not come back.
Sadly, I wouldn't know complete from instantly. I mean, I don't know.
Well, if you look at, not the thing on the grant thing, it's pretty, you know, just check the list.
Okay,
Yeah, we can do that.
I'll find a good one and use it as a model.
So next up, committee reports. Anyone here to speak for public arts? And how about the WIC committee, Jamie?
Yeah, so is this to talk about the things that the committee came up with, say, let's add them to the,
Reports and recommendations?
okay. So, first thing is, the main thing is that, our proposal is to have just the WIC committee be the people who manage the website, so that needs a board vote. And also, that, money. See, my brain goes blank, but it's money. We want to have a different host that is less expensive with a lot more storage, and possibly a little bit of money for porting the website would be what I think. Someone said something about possibly that already being kind of like set aside in the budget. But nonetheless, whatever we want to do, we need the whole board to vote on it and say, sounds good, let's do it. And then if they say that, then we plan to, at the next WIT meeting, start planning something on top of that platform.
Sure, do me a favor, all the things that are officially recommendations, type that up, and then when we do the next board meeting, that way we can actually vote on it. Go for it.
The only thing I want to suggest is make sure you have a written contract or responsibility, because it's always been that we give them work for that person, but there's nothing in writing what he or she is responsible for, and the pay becomes a problem.
The what?
The payment becomes a problem.
Well, we're just gonna get a new host, so like, you just pay annually, an annual fee, and you just put in the credit card information and then it's there. And then
Make sure-
we, the
make
WIT
sure the
committee,
board
are
has a
doing
deal
it.
of what that person is responsible for.
That person
don't
is
anymore.
us.
We're not using one anymore. We're doing it ourselves.
Yeah.
Because there's enough people on the board now that know how to.
And it's way cheaper.
And it's been functioning much better, hasn't it?
Much better.
Much better, but I heard you say at the beginning that you want to restrict the members of the committee to those who manage or
No,
oversee
the
the
reverse.
website.
Rather, that those who will be responsible for actually updating the website will be the members of WIT. So like, it won't be anyone who wants to put things on the website, Instead, anyone who would like to add something to the website would ask to have it added to the website.
All right, just as a community involvement thing. Years ago, we had the notion that, and I don't know if it was because of the website or the outreach or whatever, that we had the notion that we could do things cheaper. Maybe we could get an intern from one of the local schools. Well, it never happened. But I'm just thinking, this is the time in a Sotomayor student's life when maybe they would be interested in community involvement and be a member of a committee and put their intense knowledge of all things digital into.
If we can get students out here, I would be extremely happy.
So I'm not,
They do need to be 18, but
Do we?
I don't know.
It would be in violence. I mean, I know you
Now,
have
to
to
be a board member, you
Right,
run for
but
a board.
But committee doesn't have any
No,
restrictions.
I don't, not that I'm aware of.
Okay, National Night Out, it's an ad hoc committee, I was the chair of that, already gave a report through outreach. And then Neighborhood Watch, I'm not sure who's actually on the Neighborhood Watch committee.
I didn't know it existed
I think
and
it's
it's not
right
listed on the website.
Yep,
And there's not even an email address associated with
I
it.
think it might be a Molly project, but I'm not sure who exists on it.
I think it was a brand new, I don't think we got that.
Has to do with posting those metal signs we have, I believe.
Oh, you're right, I think
right.
it's Patrick. Patrick was the
That's
one that
right.
was gonna spearhead that, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Okay, and that is the end of A. So 6B, agenda items unaddressed on July 19th, the community impact statements were the report regarding planning department's report on second dwelling units. We tabled this last time at the last board meeting. Any follow-up to that?
Did anybody read it since then?
Is this what we got the email from GPIA about?
Probably, yeah.
The GPA has already taken the position on it.
Well, I'll take the same position as the GPIA, because I read their long letter of recommendation and I sent it like they asked.
And what is the position?
It's
That we don't want the
complicated.
language changed. That's, the city of Los Angeles has slightly stricter regulations. Please stop me if I'm wrong.
Go ahead.
The city of LA has stricter regulations on second dwelling units. Not saying that they can't exist, but that they have to conform to stricter rules about how big they can be and such.
Compared to the
Compared to
state.
the state. And the city is thinking about changing the language to match the states. And we are saying, given the hillsides and given the history of development in our area, that we think that the stricter regulations are not onerous
and therefore they should stay in place.
Okay.
So that's where the GPIA came.
There is a slight gray area. There was a law passed statewide, and we do have to address the law, but we don't have to accept it in its entirety. We are able to move around it, bring in certain aspects of it without completely decimating what we have.
Great, sounds important. I think we should definitely put it on the board agenda coming up.
Make sure all the board members understand it, because a lot of me.
Oh, yeah.
So,
There's more.
right, but even so for all of the board members to understand that, then
I need to create something like this
you're
that I did
gonna
today.
create a one-pager.
Well, that's coming up in the agenda as well,
Okay.
like how we're doing with this.
So, I'm just thinking, why not put this on the agenda?
It'll get lumped right in with the other community impact statements that we have to look at, I think.
Cool.
But just so we know, I still have not submitted the community impact statements that the board approved at the last meeting, because I typed it and I haven't heard back as to whether or not this language is acceptable. Now, in the past, I just did it. I wrote it, I sent it.
Sure.
But in the meantime, this one's gone off. The council already voted on it. So there's only 4 left of the things that we voted on.
Okay.
So I need approval on this language in order to submit any of those that are already approved.
That's what you were asking. Okay, I'm
Yes.
sorry. I didn't understand that.
Yes.
Sorry.
I mean, like I said, before,
Right.
when the board approved something like that, I wrote a single sentence like, the Glassell Park Neighborhood Council supports this motion. Glassell Park encompasses hillsides and open space that are defining elements of our community. A ridgeline ordinance would be an added tool we can use to protect Glassell Park stakeholders from development in areas with unstable geologic conditions and protect what remains of our area's natural beauty. It's just wording from the motion that says why we're supporting it. And that's it. So I did that for every one of them. And ordinarily, I just write and send it. But in this case, I wrote it up and sent it to you for approval.
Right. Gotcha.
And I can do nothing more. And it's just, everything's time sensitive.
I'll get that to you tonight.
Okay.
So the items also unaddressed were the reports from liaisons representatives. This one's a little bit tricky because if the remainder of this agenda goes through, the liaisons representatives will be divided up between some will be presenting at the board meeting when necessary and when they're specific to board meeting items that need to be read at that time. And then some liaisons do not need to report at board meetings and they will instead report at the town hall for the larger public to hear and grasp. So something that we're going to have to identify is which liaisons and representatives are best suited to report during the board meetings and which liaisons are best suited for the town halls. So going through those, or both.
Or neither.
Okay. Guest speaker requests. We have one, Mujeres de la Tierra, and any other requests for guest speakers?
So we're not doing B?
So your B is just to put it on the agenda for the board meeting, that at the board meeting coming up, we're going to be discussing whether or not we want to discuss this at the board meeting.
Correct.
You forgot budget rep, by the way.
Is that what it is?
They're not budget advocates. Budget advocates were the ones who nominated in the breakout session, G, so it's 3 for each area.
Let me know, because I'm feeling I have more that are missing. I just copied from the last agenda. If it wasn't on that, then.
Do you maybe want to just jot down budget reps?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Brian, you want to come sit over here, man?
No, I'm fine.
I can't see her over there.
Neither can the camera.
Budget rep is a homeless rep, yeah.
You don't like the camera?
No, I love it. You
Thanks,
don't
Jen.
like it?
I don't mind.
Good.
I don't look very good on the camera, but I get over it.
Fine.
Okay. Alright. So, guest speakers. Do we have any other requests for guest speakers?
The gentleman that came last night to outreach.
I don't think he's coming back.
Oh, okay.
From the way that he talked, he's having a hard time hitting all the places, so outreach was the one he could make it to, that's why he.
It was that Healthy Kids guy that has the big,
Baby
Oh, you weren't there, I was wondering what that look was on your face.
No, Laura, you look
No,
confused.
I was in the, no.
I know.
It's just a sales pitch.
It is a sales pitch.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I think it's.
I looked into his event.
You think it's what?
I think it's appropriate.
Really?
It costs half the amount National Night did for those 5 jumpers he has. I looked into the event.
But then like, let's.
Yeah.
Narrow that down so he doesn't keep showing sales pitch.
That's not a speaker.
It's not a speaker,
It's
it's
a
a
sales
sales pitch.
pitch.
It's inappropriate.
Okay.
So we have one. Do we know any other speakers? Guest speakers?
Well, I was going to speak about the veteran memorial, but we didn't have a veteran.
Yeah, you can still bring it up. I'm all about getting things
But
done.
we're not asking for
It was
money, we're
from
just
back
asking
there.
for
Sure.
That's fine.
Or, I mean, isn't this tonight a good point that
Yeah, please. I'm accepting other requests. You can.
you don't
Jump
have
on
to
right
have
now.
a letter drafted. You can just say, I want to be on the agenda, I will have a letter for your supporting documents. I mean, I think,
That's how I interpret it.
That'd be fun.
Cool. I'll put you down there.
Veterans Memorial.
At the Rio de los Angeles Park.
Oh, cool.
We're trying to get it financed privately.
Okay. We'll put you on. All right. Here's possible action. So, D. Discuss possible action to change the executive committee meeting date from today, the first Tuesday of every month, which would be actually, we got pushed to Thursday, to potentially the second Tuesday of every month, giving a 1-week cushion in between this meeting and the board meeting. This is the part where I'm just working on. I don't know if the executive committee votes on when they meet or the board votes on when the executive committee meets. Do we handle that business ourselves?
The executive committee gets to decide when it meets based on the standing rules that existed before, so if you didn't change that.
There's nothing
Committees
in it about
decide,
that.
committees decide when they meet. This is a committee.
Not that I read. I
Not
looked
the
through it.
standing rules, the bylaws.
Right, not that I saw.
No, oh, I thought you were talking about the executive.
Oh, I am.
Different house doing
I know. I didn't see anything about that in the bylaws,
So I
so
thought it was set up when we had it the first Tuesday. You can check it out.
we can definitely take
But
a
also,
look.
but yes, my only problem with that, and that's all, Laura, it's your issue, is that if we need to have the agenda 72 hours prior to the meeting the following week, and we need to have it to the WIC committee 72 hours before that, that's pretty much do the agenda the same night that you created.
Except the agenda should be mostly ready. And then it gets modified at the executive committee meeting.
Correct, and didn't
No.
Thomas Songs the other night say that it just has to be done 72 hours ahead?
Well, it's in our,
It's
it's in our
posted.
bylaws that it has to be posted.
It's in the Brown Act, it's
Right.
beyond the bylaws, it's in the Brown Act that it has to be posted 72 hours.
Right,
Right.
our bylaws specify the location.
So
the
that
bylaws
with
specify the-
72 hours is just a cushion, and the way it is just to say, hey, that's what we have. But in reality, the way we structured it at the last meeting was that it should be going up the same day it's sent, pretty much within the hour.
I mean, that's ideal, but we do ask for a cushion. I would say that for the one agenda that's for the board meeting a month, having that one come in last minute isn't as big of a deal as if everybody sends them last minute. Because if everybody's always sending them last minute, one's gonna slip through the cracks, and a meeting will be canceled.
That's the nature of the beast, and I think we either need more people to be able to put them or post them, and we don't need any cushion, I don't think. That's both, that's how it works.
Right, well, at the last, I still can't see it. At the last WIT meeting we divided up by schedule. So, for example, we always know that on 3 days before the board meeting on the third Tuesday, to expect an agenda on that day, someone's assigned to it, they know it's coming, they'll get it done.
Right.
So, if we have 5 members of the WIT committee currently,
Currently 5, yeah.
so then between those 5, we divide those up and give them responsibilities. You're on the agenda, you're on this for the board, for the executive committee, blah, blah, blah. It really wouldn't be an issue.
Cool.
Cool.
How many members in those, or know how those are?
It's gotta be next.
I gave everyone access, but Laura, Ben, and Sandy haven't been trained yet. I did send you guys an email, and hopefully you'll explore a little bit, and
Work
you
in
guys will
progress.
say, got it. But I have to train Sandy.
Cool. So, back to D about changing the date here. Is this an executive committee decision about changing our own date, or is this something the board has to decide? If anybody knows.
I don't see why we wouldn't run it by the board. I mean, I don't anticipate the board is gonna say no, but why not cover your bets and
Well, okay, so then in that
There's
case,
time.
let's take a vote if among us on the executive committee, if we'd be down to move it to the second Tuesday instead of the first,
And the reason we're doing that is just to have more time.
to add more things to the agenda and get it done.
And to have the town halls on the first Tuesday instead of the
Replace the date.
Then, in that case, what would probably have to happen is everything would have to come to the executive board meeting complete. Because there'd be no time to make changes in a week and get the posting and all the work that has to be done, is my assumption.
Yes and no. You'd still have the 4 days afterwards, but it would give more time for people to get it onto the agenda, as well as more time to do the things that are completed.
It totally works for me, I'm not so sure it works for Laura in particular. I feel that if things are left kind of slightly undone, and that falls upon her to complete, it's gonna be a real stress. So I think maybe the expectations of what people bring to the executive committee might have to change, so that it could already be complete, formatted, and ready to be
Well, the next thing with that is that that's, as far as my understanding, the way the agenda's been set, where the executive or the chair sets the executive committee agenda, and then the secretary sets the board agenda off of that. That's the way it's been done, right?
Yes.
But now that's kind of a moot point because we're doing it, we're doing it all on Google Docs where it's a living document. So the stuff that happens now, we forward it onto the board, it already kind of exists, meaning myself, the chair, created the agenda as is. Anything that happens tonight, Laura does the small revisions and changes up to, and we're done. So it's not a matter of going back and forth having to recreate the wheel every time. That's my understanding of it.
Right, I think it's the supporting documents that you're talking about.
Right.
You know,
Which-
because that
which is really the
has
bulk
to be
of it.
posted with the agenda
Right.
at the same
So
time.
people now have one additional week to get them ready, is another way of looking at it.
No, I know that. No, what I'm saying is that it has to be absolutely complete.
Thanks.
So
is it like
more as,
with
more
this
or less, what I would, as an example, I would then have to have those Google Maps in now. Or I know that I'm gonna be stressing Laura out, having to add things after the meeting when she has 4 days to get it together.
Right, so the idea, if this happens, it would be that everything has to be ready on the day of the executive.
Which still gives you an additional week.
Any
I know that.
additional supporting documents afterwards, and if they don't have the supporting documents, then it doesn't go.
Okay, so that still gives us an additional week than what we currently have.
Right, but I'm just saying, like,
You can set the terms on this, you are the secretary. So if that's the way it has to be, that's the way it has to be.
yeah.
Cool.
I'm just, like, if there's anything else additionally that has to come in after today, within the 4-day turnaround, then I have no interest in hounding people for additional documents.
Of course.
Or anything like that, so, yeah, so if there's something that's supposed to be on the agenda with the additional documents, it all has to be in by the day of the executive committee.
It's not only that,
It's not
somebody
asking too
often
much.
prints them out and it gives that person time, or you, or whoever, to have that all together and have to move on it quickly. So I think, I think you're probably gonna have to make that a standard thing.
Cool, sounds good to me.
I think it's a reasonable thing to ask. I mean, because before we were saying have them to us 2 weeks ahead of time, and now we're saying
Actually, no, we weren't.
You're saying,
We were saying have them to us 3 days prior to the meeting,
with it.
when it's posted, so they had all the way up to the meeting.
So the change would allow us to have more, but we have to make sure that that more is
You're gonna, the cutoff date is actually earlier
right.
in relation to when the meeting occurs.
oh, because before they were just getting them in under the wire before the
Yes,
board
exactly
meeting?
that, and sometimes not even.
Oh, well, that was a problem, so we're gonna cut that problem off this way.
I can name people who
If they don't get it
still haven't given me supporting documents.
If they don't get them in, then they don't get them in, that's their problem.
So as the committee, let's take a vote on it. I move that we change the date of this committee from the first Tuesday to the second Tuesday of every month.
I'll second that.
Great. Alright, let's just do we have any abstentions? we have any no's?
Brian's not in here.
We should wait.
You have
Yeah,
four.
or-
Yeah, we have quorum. Okay, then it passes. We will now meet on the second
Unless he was
Tuesday.
gonna say no, because he's over there something about it.
School, you miss out.
What?
Wait, so how
Well, but I'm saying it wouldn't matter.
The only thing I would think is, I think some of the regions, they would change their meeting from Tuesday, so they would give the not the politicians, but the
Right.
elected officials to be able to come to the meeting, so.
That's something to consider, is that there may be other neighborhood councils in the council districts that meet on the first Tuesday of the month, in which case we might not get our field deputies, because currently they've blocked out the third Tuesday of the month as a window for Glassell Park. So that's something that we need to,
Address when we do the town halls.
yeah, I
Eagle
mean,
Rock meets on the first
Actually-
Tuesday.
This was the neighborhood council who threw a wedge in that at one point. So there are field deputies, they oftentimes make 2-3 stops in an evening. I think if we don't schedule them at the beginning of the meeting, schedule them at the end. I think there's no way of avoiding a conflict, and any day at any time, there's a neighborhood council meeting going on in this area.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
just
Eagle Rock
give them the
meets on
heads
the
up as
first
soon as possible.
Tuesday,
Of
so
course.
they'll be happy to have them so close together if they are going on the same night.
And then the other thought is that they would be given the report after our hour-long discussion on whatever topics we have, along with everybody else. So that the public can hear it, they've been there, they have the officials that come in at 8 p.m. instead of 7, they have a little bit more time in that sense.
You can't totally control it, but
Exactly. Okay, so moving on. This is the big one. So, item E, discussion possible action to approve, revise, or disapprove written standing rules and bylaws. And that is the recommendation from the bylaws committee that we have supporting documents for over there.
So now you're gonna go through them line by line again?
Nope.
no.
No.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
But what happened at the bylaws meeting, for anyone who wasn't there, was
there.
we went through the standing rules and made some small changes, everything in red. If you want to read what this now says, there is a clean document over there with today's date on it. But it addressed most of what we got through. 7A, all we got through.
And contrary to what Jim said, talking about the bylaws committee, we didn't touch on bylaws. We specifically stuck with only the standing rules.
Correct.
We'll deal with bylaws in the future, because standing rules are something we can handle ourselves.
And get it done easily.
Quite simple.
Yes. So we did not actually touch on bylaws.
Wasn't there one tiny thing?
That was adding the WIC committee, but I already submitted that.
Yeah, that should be on there already. Okay.
Oh, anyway, you guys aren't voting on it here. You're
No, we're
talking
just
about
saying it's
how
gonna
you're
go on.
Right, yeah, I
So-
keep forgetting.
And that's all you want on the
So
agenda.
this discussion, possible action to approve, revise, disapprove, that's just for us to say, yeah, let's put that on the agenda.
To do that. Is that how that's done, by the way, for the executive committees?
Well, if it's
That's
worded
why-
like that,
That's why I don't like
then
these.
I would say yes.
Okay, cool.
I mean,
That's why that's one of mine.
Yeah.
Suggestions.
So that's all we're saying on the agenda, is that one line and then the.
see supporting documents,
See supporting documents.
yes.
Yeah, we should really make an effort for people to read them beforehand, because the work's already done. Don't have to wait on anything, we can send it off.
Yeah, the website, that's.
We got the current version on the website,
The old version.
The old
The-
standing version.
the standing version, and then the revisions we can get out.
Right.
Yeah, the revisions have to get voted on by the board before they can go live.
Reason. Okay, next item. Discuss possible action to create a monthly town hall meeting, which we briefly touched on already. To be held on the first Tuesday of every month. And it would also move the board member updates from the board meeting to the town hall, along with liaisons representatives selectively to the town hall. We would award recognition certificates, which is another item coming up at town halls. And something that would be for Brian, as a member at large, would be to establish the monthly schedule of topics ahead of time and allow for each board member to take an ownership of a topic of their own choosing to provide a town hall, and the member at large would do their best to support them and help bring in speakers and anything else relevant to the topic. Yeah, that's also F in there. So that's the general premise. Are we all good to send that on? Cool. The next one is discussion possible action to create block parties. Continuing with the theme of our party from Tuesday night, where people were saying it in the suggestion box. I guess it's a good idea that they want to see more involvement and more parties and things within their communities. So the area block parties was something that we identified at our retreat as a full board, that we'd like to see within each area, a neighborhood community feel, a small party, and that's the idea to pass on. Parties, everyone loves parties.
But however, if you're going to put that on the agenda, you should also probably have another sub-item that talks about how much money you expect to need for each block party.
I have on here under funding requests, you want to skip ahead real quick to take a look. Item 7, E and F. I put up an arbitrary number of $1,000. I don't know if that's good, I don't know if that's bad, but I put it up.
Would that be coming out of the outreach portion of our budget?
I think yeah,
Has to, right?
I'd have to look into the structure of the budget, but I believe so.
Because I believe that we're tight. I mean, already with National Night Out, I don't know what we allocated in the budget for
Right.
outreach, but I don't think it was more than $10,000. So
10,000, what's the actuals on?
we don't know.
For National Night, it's still coming up, but out of this fiscal year,
I thought they said
I-
yesterday you were like 2,000 under.
yeah,
Maybe so, but still, if of 10,000, that means you're at 5,500.
not true. Most of that money for National Night Out came out of the previous fiscal year. So out of this year, I think we spent maybe about $2,000.
Okay, great, then you have $8,000 left for block parties or other outreach,
So
like newsletters.
Right.
Yeah.
And we can always retool the budget as we now have worked on identified what we would like to do, right? That's still an option.
Yeah, as long as it's not earmarked.
Great. Cool.
So, Jamie was just saying something.
Yeah,
I was thinking, so like,
Hold on one second.
if you are approving, we're putting a funding request and it has to be the exact same amount of funding for all of the areas and shop areas. It can't be like, is it, you're saying $1,000 per block party, $1,000 in general?
Oh, per block party.
Okay.
And so the nice thing
So
we
then
can
you
do,
have $7,000 available for that.
Did you say how much?
no,
Did you say how much comes out, how much of National Night Out came out?
I don't know what no meant.
don't know yet, but it's probably around 2,000 as a current guesstimate. And no, as far as 7,000, we have 7 areas, but one of the ideas coming up, especially for the first block party, is a combination between 6 and 7.
Oh, okay.
Marie can
so
actually speak about this a little bit better.
do pairs.
It's her area.
Pairs areas.
If we did, being from area 1, I think that that's not a great idea for my area.
Pairing them?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
What's
fine.
your choice?
You have,
Right, but then it's my choice, but then does that mean that I get $500 or I get
oh, you need
$1,000?
to get $1,000.
But your double area gets $1,000?
I would love to try
$2,000. See, I don't agree with that.
Per block party, I think $1,000, and if that is brought up between 2 areas,
Well, let's leave 2 with our block party one,
Yeah.
joining forces.
So Verdugo Village is, are you familiar with Verdugo Road? Where
North of
So Verdugo Village needs a lot of help. We want to help support businesses on that block, on those 2 blocks actually. Little River's about to open Labor Day weekend, and Councilman Lazar is already said he's interested in attending. So we're going to really cut it center about that. We want to get all the businesses involved. So what we're hoping to do is to close down the block, Verdugo Road, between Latona and New York. And the councilman has agreed to help out. So,
Will traffic have an alternate, because that's
yes,
gonna be a big
it's
problem
very
on the
easy to get around.
permit.
Around that area. So we're going to ask the businesses to be involved, participate, but as you know, shutting down the street is a very large effort. So,
Don't let your signs get stolen.
So-
Did you know that happened to us at National Night Out? The signs were stolen,
I
so
heard.
people were parked.
I heard.
Yeah.
So regardless of any of that, so it has to be the exact same amount of money for every area.
yeah, for each block party. So if we say $1,000 per block party, and Area 6 and 7 throws a joint block party, that's $1,000, not 2,000. So we have that, and then the nice thing that we should really do is reach out to the council districts to continue to support these block parties. They are right now very pleased with what they saw in Glassell Park. I got emails from all of them afterwards saying that they were, in very short terms without getting into it, they were pleased to see that coming out of Glassell Park. And so they want to continue that, they're very excited about it, and I think we can go forward with that and use that to our advantage where we can partner with them for different events, such as the opening of the coffee shop, and where they're already coming out to do an event anyway. Let's continue that and ride along with it. So my thought was $1,000 per event, and
And that was
see
just
how much
the
we
ballpark, right?
push the ballpark number. That's what I was thinking. And so, and then use as much of the council district's resources to our advantage as possible.
I would just like to make sure we have exactly that amount of money allocated, so let's say 4 of the block parties happen and they get $4,000, but then outreach spends other money on other things, and we realize 6 months down the road, oh, we don't have the $3,000 for the rest of them.
Agreed.
And they don't get screwed over.
I think that after putting this together, saying that we want to have town halls and block parties, we should take a look at our budget and make sure that it is lined up with what we want to do. I think that just makes sense.
Yeah, it would be nice if we could also just bring food trucks out, so we don't have to make food a part of the block party expense.
I'm pretty sure that the city won't let us pay food trucks unless we.
So not pay them, the food trucks come, and if people want food, they can
Oh,
buy it.
and they buy food.
Yeah,
I'm on
we
the
don't-
outside
we
again.
don't
Let them know
have to call.
2,000 people came to the last one. We just park right over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I agree.
Also for the permit, you gotta make sure you work with the council like we did with the Veterans Parade.
Oh, yeah.
Because they reroute the buses, so we need to give them.
CD14.
CD14 closed down the road for us, or CD1 closed down the road for National Night Out. CD14's on the.
And who picks up the bill? You know, they used to do ours because it was Veterans Parade, then when they had the budget cuts, they said, no, we have to appeal to the Public Works Commission that it was a reasonable speed thing. And then
Well, so far we haven't had any issues about them not picking up the budget. CD1 picked up the budget for closing down out here, and then 14's doing that. Yeah, right. Pretty cool. All right.
So when is this one planned?
Oh, Saturday, September 17th. That's what we're hoping for.
So like a week after the coffee shop opens.
Yes, the hot coffee shop's gonna open on Labor Day, it's gonna be soft. And, but I don't wanna make it like just the Little River Grand Opening, it's more of a celebration for all the businesses.
Is that like Jack the Ripper? Is that what the Ripper part of it is?
I haven't asked that.
I read it online, I've forgotten what it is. There's something,
The
it's not, it's, no, it has to do with, the guy's Australian, I think, one of the two.
Yes, maybe it's like a.
Yeah, it's an Australian.
Okay.
They're really nice, they came to National Night Out, but it's like,
Somebody made a comment about the name. They were like, oh, and I was like, what is that about? Why is someone going, oh, about the name? I was like, is it Jack the Ripper?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the general idea. Next action item is to create an ad hoc committee to build a GPNC manual. And this is fun. This is to fill all of us in on what we're doing. Because as 11 out of the 14 are learning, including Mark stepping into the treasury position, there's no guidelines, no rules. There's literally no book on this. So I think we should write the book on this. And I'd like to ask for all board members' feedback, including the people who've been around for a while, the veterans who've done the job before, as well as ourselves working with the council districts and done to identify this is what you do, this is what it goes, you're seated, congratulations, here's the people to contact, here's your responsibilities from there. Like as the chair, with community impact statements and compiling agendas, I'll admit, I am woefully ignorant on how to do this. So instead of learning as I go, I'd like to compile the knowledge of our area and the people who have been doing this for years and done themselves to create something that we can use and go forward to just look at the manual. For example, I went to a meeting with Dunn where they were looking for feedback on neighborhood councils. And turns out they have a support helpline that anyone, for any question, big or small, how to do something, you can just call them anytime and ask. Nobody knew that existed. So, yeah, right, they're the best well-kept secret. So things like that should go in the manual, and so I'd like to create an ad hoc committee for people to join and help pitch in and literally write the book on how to do this. Cool?
Yes,
Cool. Alright, next one. Discussion possible action to require all committees, excluding the executive committee, to submit a, that should say, brief statement, abstract, briefly reporting their activities. It'll be sent to the GPNC secretary, and it'll be a requirement of all committees, regardless of their physical presence at the board meetings. And this is a way of checking our committees, keeping them in check to see, did they meet? If they didn't meet, just say, we did not meet this month. Great. Did bylaws meet? Cool. Did funding meet? You know, so on and so forth. The biggest sticky wicket with that is land use, because of the sheer amount of stuff they deal with. So it'll be a bit of a learning curve as we go. Helene, you're gonna have to work with me on this one, on how to do brief statements from land use to what we're asking. That'll be the hardest one.
One I sent you acceptable?
Yes. You're doing a good job already.
Excellent.
And we'd like to require that from other committees.
I would like to suggest that sent to GPN secretary have a deadline on it.
What am I gonna do with this?
This is your part of your
This
supporting
is,
documents.
this is a supporting document.
Okay. So,
We can say by the executive committee meeting. Okay.
No letterhead.
but it's also just, yeah. But like, so if somebody doesn't meet, we don't need to have a page of like nearly blank paper.
No, we should have it all in one page. I mean, ideally,
We
all
can
in one
combine
page.
it. Yeah, what we can do is they'll send you their brief statement, and then as the secretary, just condense it onto one thing, and then we can use that as a
Committee reports.
Yeah, exactly. And if we start learning that we have problem committees that don't report, that don't meet, or don't follow what we ask, board can review that, decide if we need to maybe shake up who's in that committee, or if we need to take further action.
Right.
A committee serves to serve the board, and if they're not serving the board, they're not fulfilling their basic premise. And the community, which is the worst part.
Can we alter that language slightly to say paragraph, and then with committees such as land use, they usually have a whole like section on the agenda where we go through
Right.
all of the things, so it's not, cause like if you're asking people to submit a one sheet, it's gonna
Right.
some
Not a
people
one
might
sheet.
write a lot, and then
It was,
like
It's not
re-editing it
Yeah.
down.
Like that as brief
Change that.
Yeah, I would just suggest that we change the language of this.
What did we say?
brief statement.
And from EDLU for that section, you probably just said the committee met on this date, we will have, 7 items on the, further down the agenda or something.
Yeah.
I actually broke it down to what it was,
Yeah.
and the brief thing that was, they were gonna be voting on essentially, so one short paragraph for
And that's
each.
incredibly helpful already.
There you go.
So that's what we're going to be asking of all committees. Cool?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, next up, possible action to require the executive committee to provide a one-sheet abstract of all community impact statements explaining the document in layman's terms, and must include a Google map of area in question. This ideally would fall on the responsibility of the chair or vice chair for community impact statements to come in,
Great.
and then from there, we would type up what they mean, what they are, and provide our own brief statement. That way, it's no longer the responsibility of the person who provides it, although your input would be very acceptable. But it would be a way to get to the board meetings and see that we have this community impact statement affecting something within our community, and everyone's on their phone looking up where on the map this is or what's going on. Waste time, makes us look terrible. So instead, what we'll do is we'll have the community impact statement, a brief summary of what it means, and then the map showing where it is in the community. And that would be provided by the executive committee, ideally by the chair or vice chair.
Okay, rarely does a community impact statement actually, I think you have a map.
Do I have it backed up?
We're talking about the motions for the community impact statement,
Oh,
the abstract.
yeah, sorry.
And the land
Other way
use,
around.
we're asking
Yeah.
land use to add.
Correct. So unless the community impact statement has a specific point that it's talking about, then it won't need it. Yes, sorry. I had too many abstracts floating around my
And then
brain.
my only request was that when you do send the documents to the committee and alternates and all, that and the board, that you send as much information as possible so that those who do choose to read through it form a
Yes.
informed opinion can do so.
You can, there's a link on the city clerk's website that all you do is type in the motion number, this thing. And if you just go to the City Clerk Connect, and there's a new app for that as well.
Oh, cool.
So you can just type in the motion number and it will come up, and then you can click on everything, including other neighborhood councils, community impact statements, letters from the public,
That's great.
everything that's in that file will come up on the website or on the app, probably. I haven't downloaded the app yet. But, yeah, but the thing that will take your time is you'll get 4 and 5 emails from the city clerk in a day. Each of them may have 20 motions or ordinances on it, and then you have to kind of scan through them all and make sure that they're. So that was my question on that item. All CISs from what list?
I may just need your help in pointing this to the right direction, so I should say about it, just to help us make sure we're doing it the right way.
And you can help put that on the manual.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the general idea. Cool?
Fine. You know that at the June special meeting, that the board not named me and Brian as people who will post to the community impact statements, but that doesn't make sense. If you're doing the research and you've got all the paperwork and you've made the statements, then, you know, it doesn't make sense for you to forward it to me just so I can put it on the website.
I would love for you to have your eyes on it, just because I'm terrible.
Whatever you want.
So is that.
It's just your
Power
power.
of
And I do want to stress, Aline, that this is not to be used in absence of anyone else doing their homework on it, saying that, oh, okay, this is my interpretation,
No,
we
no,
go
no.
from there. And I agree, we should
never
pass on
imply
all the
that.
info.
Never imply, I just meant, this is one case where I think people should be given the opportunity to be able to read everything,
Absolutely.
that's all.
Agreed.
I have a suggestion on that one.
Sure.
I don't know if you remember, that was one of my suggestions, was about community impact statements, and you said, oh, well, there's already a community impact statement on there. So I'll just read my little thing.
Go for it.
So I said, consider making it the entire board's responsibility to preview the documents for potential community impact statements and to bring them on board, so to speak, if they see something of interest. The secretary still wants to search through them for items of interest, and I just said secretary because Marge, as secretary, took that responsibility before. But it sounds like you guys had something else in mind, but anyway. So if whoever still wants to search through them for items of interest, perhaps an easier system for that person would be to simply create a list accessible to anyone, follow the links and look for themselves. But ideally, it would not be responsible that falls entirely on one person. So that was mine.
I think that's how it currently is, it's just no one does it.
I
It
agree
is
with you.
exactly how it
There's a
is.
motion that somebody is interested in, just send it to us.
I think it'd be another good thing.
Their own
yeah.
abstract and be involved in the process, it just doesn't sit, we just don't want everything involved.
Yeah, that's basic, this is the marked bullet item.
But I also don't want all three of, I'll step away because I don't want to be doing all this work only to find out that you've already done all that work. It's
Right.
like, why would I do that? So, as long as you start getting emails from the city clerk, you should literally get 3-5 a day. Then you'll have everything I have, which is just, then I just scan down it and look and see if it's general information, like the coyote ordinance, general for the entire area, that's one thing. But then there's also CDs, so you can just kind of scan down the left and go, oh, 1, 13, 14, and then pull those and have a look and just see. Sometimes it's like, 13 is a big district, it could be Hollywood.
Sure.
It doesn't have anything to do with us. So it's just a quick scan, but then once you see something, then you have to click on it, then you have to read the motion, and
Go.
then synopsize it.
I think the best thing to do is
Beauty of Google Docs.
I'm gonna get you there someday, Marge.
Not a chance.
Alright, next up.
I will be walking away from CIS.
Discussion possible action to require the EDLU committee to provide a one-sheet abstract for all possible letters explaining the document layman's terms. This is the same thing we've been talking, but instead of a one-sheet abstract, it's a brief statement. And this includes the Google map for the area in question regarding the letters.
Can't the statement look like on all on our normal board agendas, any of the EDLU stuff usually is like, whatever's happening on Brilliant Drive, and then it's formatted like this already, but then the statement. So whenever the statement's already in there, so it doesn't need to be an additional abstract to go along with the letter.
That's what I was saying.
In
That the EDLU has its own spot on the agenda.
Right.
Sometimes bylaws will as well, if it's just one item or two items. So in the brief that you're talking about, that could easily just say, see item 5B. You know,
Sure.
you don't have to say, because you have it in two places basically, because theirs is always a lengthy report.
Right, well, I see it as, instead of it being C item, I'd like to see it if it's a small little blurb in the agenda, but also attached in a supporting document, because it's just a copy and paste job, and then on the supporting document it has the map attached with it. So you can still read along with what you're, reading in the agenda, the same language. So instead of saying C supporting document H and that's it, like you see the small little blurb, and as we currently have it already, and then the supporting document has the same small little blurb, but then the map attached to it, so we know what we're talking about. And every committee or every board member has the same packet of supporting documents when they sit down. No more fishing for stuff. All make sense?
I still don't
So,
think
so
it's
my,
a little
so my
place.
one little
Yeah.
sentence will be on the body of the agenda.
Yes, as is currently. Do you know how you guys have the, I want to get what it's actually called wrong, the letters and numbers essentially,
Yeah.
CA, SVP, all that fun stuff, and then it has a brief description of where the area is? That works. And then if you want to include any other kind of layman's terms, like the road is not long enough or wide enough, and then just copy paste that language, we'll put it onto the brief statement with the map that goes along with it.
On the body of the agenda?
No, on the
Okay,
supporting
that was my question.
Okay.
So the agenda will still appear the way that it is?
Correct.
Okay.
I think we were talking about a top sheet on your supporting document.
We're just getting into so much paper.
This
It's
is
like-
a Google map for I understand the idea of the Google map for everything, but something that would take another step because we have to approve money for a projector. We should just have a projector that projects the map or the satellite view of wherever we're talking about, which then, when you're talking about that agenda item, you just put that up and it's there for everyone to see, not 14 extra pieces of paper because they're all Google
I can
Maps.
speak to that, which is that WIT is going to be proposing to the board, please do everything it can to reduce paper. And the projector will be included in that, but the idea being, if all of the documents are on the website, then we can pull them up even possibly from the website. That way, no matter who's here, even if the person who was planning to come with their computer doesn't show up for some reason, maybe they got in a car accident, I don't know. They're there, and so someone else can pull them up and boom, just well, where are we gonna project them? There, I don't know. There, and then, so those supporting documents don't have to be physical documents necessarily, although I think for aren't there
think
some
that
reasons why we
match-
have to have a couple of physically printed ones? Like
What
for-
we had
But then we're gonna
discussed,
try to do as much as possible just projecting, but that's what we wanna propose and see if the board agrees with us on that.
I see both sides, and I agree. I do want to see all the supporting documents in the packet, also on the projector, because I don't want to print those supporting documents for all the stakeholders. I want it just on the projector, on the wall, for anyone sitting out in the audience to see it. Because they don't need to see the physical things here, but the problem that comes with that is that as we go along, people go home and don't have the document anymore,
Well, if
and
they're
then
online, they will.
it just,
I make physical notes on that.
yes, as same here. It's more of a physical thing where I can take notes about what this
We're
is.
editing the letters, I'm taking physical notes on.
Well, it would make sense that if those people who need to do that had a copy, but we don't need 15 copies times.
Right,
25
so there's-
pages.
if the whole board gets a Google map for every single EdLuck item, that's a
May I just say-
minimum 100 pieces of extra.
We already spent the money to put a giant wall mural map of Glasso Park on that yellow wall. All we're waiting for is approval to hire the artist, as opposed to just blowing up a very generic city map. We can hire a guy, and I have the images, to make a very nice wall mural over there, accurate. So, and we can spend a little more money to put acrylic in front of it, so that it becomes a dry erase board. So when the EDLU is happening, we just go over there and go, circle, this is what we're talking about right now. We don't need a Google map for every single one, but we do need the plans and all the other stuff that they send us. They send us, you know, frontage views and plot maps and all that kind of stuff, so that is all stuff that needs to happen. I'm just saying that when we have it in the agenda in two places, first we have the committee with their mini briefs, then we have the spot on the agenda where those items, any recommendations that do come up are actually in the body of the agenda as well. It's redundant to have it in two places.
So, real quick, I want to do something just to make sure we're on the same page. This is what I personally am envisioning when I'm asking to put a Google map with the supporting document. Ready? Here's the blurb on what it is. There's the map. Here's the blurb. Here's the map. Here's the blurb. There's the map. One page, all land use. Does that make sense?
I can't do it.
No, you wouldn't.
You'll get it the way that I get it.
You can give us, what you can do is like you can give us the point, the address of where it's at, and then what could happen is we can make this format. So like for example, if you can provide us this information, we can make templates of things on how to do it, and it's just a matter of going through it.
2 quick points. One is, it used to be that the developers would come to the board meetings because they know that it was the board vote that mattered, not the committee vote.
Right.
And they would be there to explain again to the board and to show whomever was there their plans and discuss their project. Does eat up more time, but you may have more time if the town hall thing separates out, and then you could spend a little more time for this business. But I just wanted to mention that because I can imagine where that will happen again, and to think about that in terms of timing. In which case, they may be bringing all of that stuff with them.
Ideally,
Also.
hopefully.
Yeah, and our letter that we send out says that there are 2 meetings. It doesn't, I don't think it specifically invites them to vote,
We should probably change that because this is the vote that matters.
right? Yeah, so we should probably make sure that it's clear that we have 2 meetings and you're invited to vote.
Well, when I was in the office 2 years ago, there was a projector.
Yeah, we can't find
It
it,
was
though.
donated in,
Apparently we have to tell the city that we lost it.
was as part of your inventory.
Really?
Yeah,
So we
you
had
have to
a
have
projector and now it's not here.
It was donated.
Okay. So someone else has a projector that doesn't belong to them.
Probably.
It
Just like
wasn't a
when they
projector
borrow
that
or,
could be used off the
you know,
computer though
or
also.
stands, you know, for mattresses. We loaned them out, I had a long day for
Yeah.
people to loan them out and things.
Yeah.
And knew who to go after. I used to make, there was some form, I used to make it some.
Yeah, I remember, because we signed, we had one of those words speakers. We had these names on there.
It's unfortunate.
It's on the budget, is it not?
It is.
It is. Okay. Thank you,
All
Art.
right, thanks.
Thank you guys.
Okay. So where are we at right now for?
G, K.
Yes, Kate. So
You guys want to spread out?
how do we feel? Yeah, Brian, you want to come over here?
No, fine.
As far as providing something like this as a supporting document, not a complete one page of a Google map, but for land use, the blurb from the agenda with the address and then the picture of where it is. We can still use the giant map over there. I think that all these strengthen what we're doing as opposed to saying one or the other. Because I still want to have the projector and I would love to have the acrylic over there. And it just looks good when everyone can just go, oh, that's what we're talking about. Or there it is right there for everyone sitting, and there it is blowing up, you know where it is in
We
Gossip
could,
Park.
you know, we can try it if it gets to be like, oh, we already have this information in 4 places, then
Sure.
we just don't do it anymore.
Yeah, we can do a test run on it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So that's another thing I'll be doing.
Creating that document.
Yeah.
From, well, yeah, I'm sure.
Great.
That was not actual enthusiasm.
It's not.
Not even close.
Moving on. Item L, review recommendations for possible community impact statements.
Is that, we're talking about August? I mean, is this an actual item for the agenda, or is this something that we're talking about having to community events again?
This was just saying if we had any other community impact statements to submit.
Did I send you that to me? I thought I sent these to us.
Yes, but I made the agenda for this one.
Oh, I know, but I mean, you've seen this.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay. Brian made this copy, but anyway.
You want a copy, Brian?
I'm fine.
You're fine.
Okay, so these are the community impact statements that are in time for this meeting. So you want to. The ones that are strike throughs are the stuff the council has already dealt with, they voted on it.
And that one's for tomorrow.
Yeah, so that's
Not to mention bees. Okay, so I can go through it. We'll do this really quick. The first one, resolution asking the city to oppose SB 1069 that would replace the term second unit with accessory dwelling unit and differs from the state's existing second dwelling unit law and includes language that undermines local land use control.
That's what's in the motion.
Correct. And that's the one that we're asking to oppose. The next one, resolution asking the city to oppose AB 2299.
Actually, we're looking to, we're either approving, I mean, on the language on the agenda, we'll say approve or support or not support. The resolution is asking the council to oppose. These big words are not a suggestion for how we're gonna go.
Right.
It's what's in the actual motion.
Okay, cool.
Oh, you mean the capitalization is from the
Yes.
original?
Yes, it's telling you the way the city, what the motion action is asking for.
Gotcha. So that's the motion to
The motion is a
oppose.
resolution asking the city to oppose.
Got it. Okay,
So we either approve it or we don't.
got it. That makes more sense.
Subject is predicate.
So the second one is a resolution asking the city to oppose AB 2299 that would require local agencies to provide an ordinance for the creation of second dwelling units in single-family and multifamily residential zones, whereas existing law gives local governments authority to enact a second dwelling ordinance when needed. Yeah, that ties into the first one. We can continue to bring that one on. Third one, motion to council asking, 1, approval to instruct Dunn to report on improving the voting environment for future neighborhood council elections. And 2, instruct Dunn to work with city attorney to develop, document, and implement an election challenge process. This is interesting.
The motion is interesting.
I want to learn more about that one. It's relevant. I think it should continue on. Cool. Fourth one, motion to instruct Dunn to cease online voting until 1, Dunn completes a report regarding the experience of online voting and actions Dunn's plans to implement, and 2, the council takes further action to approve online voting under conditions to be determined by city council. I am familiar with this one actually. This one's coming out of Studio City, who did not have a very good time with their online elections. However, just word of mouth across the rest of Los Angeles, everyone else had pretty good turnout with their online elections. It brought more people in and helped out.
I think it's very important for us to take
There's
that.
no going back. Ours were pretty shitty, actually. Many people that ended up not being able to complete it online and had to do it through the person here.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
it's a learning curve,
Yeah.
and I think we have to move forward.
but I don't think it requires eliminating online voting. It just requires improving online voting.
Exactly. Step forward, not backwards. Alright, fifth one, ordinance to transfer administration of neighborhood council funding program from Dunn to the city clerk and establish joint administration of the neighborhood empowerment trust fund between Dunn and the city clerk.
I don't know how that would actually
Yeah.
affect us, but, anything that has to do with Dunn, I think I put on here for us to have a look at.
They mentioned this on budget day. I don't remember that much about it. It's pretty much that the city clerk is gonna actually
10-20.
be the administrator of the funds.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I remember that.
I don't know how it will affect.
I don't really understand.
It involves.
I think they said something along the lines of Dunn doesn't have the expertise for all the money stuff, and they're overwhelmed, so if the city clerk, who's already a money person, does it, it'll be more competence and more,
Streamlining process.
yeah, and they have more staff available for it and all that.
It's all in the
Something,
body.
something like that.
Okay.
All the details.
Yeah, I'd like to learn more about that one. But agreed, anything that's related to Dunn and neighborhood councils, I believe should come forward. So thank you for that. Skipping down, motion that asks 1, the city council to request the city attorney to prepare and present an ordinance that will eliminate loopholes that allow applicants to file for subdivision conversion of rent-stabilized ordinance units to condos and thereafter develop the property for a different use in order to circumvent payment of relocation assistance. And 2, Housing and Community Investment Department to report on state laws that require the city to exempt property owners of RSO units that will be converted to condos to pay relocation assistance. I don't know what that meant.
It's closing a loophole that was allowing owners and landlords to be able to evict tenants using this law. And the law was never meant to be able to do that, but you know, when there's a loophole, people will find it. This closes a loophole and will help prevent that type of behavior.
Okay. Next one is report from city planning, the city clerk regarding a code amendment repealing sections of LA Municipal Code to comply with the state law on second dwelling units and grandfathering second dwelling units permitted since June 23rd, 2003. Elaine, do you know any more about this one?
Yeah, I mean, they still have to follow city code, but people who build illegally, this is like giving them an opportunity to make it legal. And, but it's, you know, it still will not pass, they still have to pay their fees, everything has to be legal about the structure.
Okay, I think these are all good choices. Thank you, Marge. I'd like to see them all pass on, and I'm also going to try to learn as much as possible and then playing this term for myself.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I just do that.
Mark, what's the website that you said we could go to and type in these numbers?
City Clerk Connect.
Cityclerkconnect.com?
It might be LA City Clerk Connect, but it's something like that.
All good stuff in the manual.
I had to really look for you today, Marie. I had to look and look and look on that City Clerk website and find out where they listed that link I sent you. It took a while to get through that and find that page. No, it needed to happen because I subscribed 3 years ago, but I didn't know how to tell you how to subscribe.
Okay. Alright, next up is M, discussion and possible action to consider a GPNC rebranding. So, given the fact that we are a completely brand new board, given 3 members that have previous experience, 11 of us are brand new, we are doing all kinds of new things, including all these revisions to standing rules, and basically, let's just put it simply, we're being a brand new Glassell Park Neighborhood Council. Along with that, do we want to consider a possible rebrand of ourselves? And if that is a yes, we want to explore that, then we create an ad hoc committee to open up a competition for all Glassell Park community people. Anyone who wants to submit a design or any kind of artistic work, the ad hoc committee would oversee and present those submissions to the board for a vote. Do we think we want to move forward with that and see if the board would be open to a redesign?
Well, 2 things. One, I actually like the logo we have. I think it's colorful, and I think with Vandy caps on it and such, it really represents Glassell Park. And we have a public arts committee, and they have done competitions for utility box art, so they already have a mechanism for opening things up to the public and artists to submit their designs and possibly, go forward with something. And we did a big, back when Keystone Art Space still existed, we had easels, we had all the art up, people could walk around and look at it, they would vote for their favorites, and then the top 5 or 10 got the permission to do some utility boxes.
So we'll task public arts with that instead.
Public arts would be your.
Can I just say though that the process was a little disorganized, and I mean no disrespect, but I was actually the one tasked with fishing all those emails out of Crystal's computer. And for the Earth Day, when people were gonna vote on them.
Oh, well, Earth Day, I'm
Remember
not
how-
talking about Earth Day.
No, but that was how the utility box votes were done.
No, that's the second time. The first time, it was really well done. It was at Keystone Art Space. It was well attended, and it was great.
Okay, so I was just gonna say, like, if it's just to be sent to one person by email, if it's just ending up in one person's email box, and that person has to push through and find them, and they miss one, which is exactly what happened. Someone showed up and said, "Where's mine?" And I said, "Oh, I dug through your email and I did a search for utility box, and I got everyone I could find, and I printed them out, find that one, and she didn't notice, you know what I mean? So that process was a little bit broken, so
Well,
I would just recommend
If they
we-
submit to Public Arts at Glassell Park
To the committee
and
itself and not the person,
C.org, then all of us would get it, and that would matter.
as should be. Yeah, Brian?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Marge. The current logo's been around for, in one form or another like that, for about 14 years maybe or so. And it was changed at some point, colors were added, which I kind of, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, it's been altered, but I kind of like it. And I think it's pretty well known around the area, and I don't see any reason to actually change it that much.
I think that's the reason, because it's well known and the Glassell Park Neighborhood Council is well hated. So, new brand, new people, new vibe.
That's your opinion.
Yeah, except that this board is in for 2 years, and that logo rides with the GPNC.
Exactly.
And what's to say in 2 years, the next board comes in and says, hey, we're all new, let's do a new logo. Well,
Maybe they will.
doesn't, and maybe they will.
Maybe they will. We can't
You
control.
can't change your brand every 2 years. It doesn't make any sense, it's not strong
No, I-
promotions,
I
advertising.
agree with that, I agree with
You
that. The devil's advocate argument is, of course, that it has been around for 14 years, so maybe it is time for a change.
And Eagle Rock's logo is simple and recognizable.
I saw your hand.
Everybody likes it, and like Johnny couldn't actually easily print that. He was complaining up a storm having to put.
It's the
Glassell logo
possibility.
and stuff.
I want to ask the rest of the board and see if that would be something to explore, because we can even vote to keep the exact same logo. I just want to see if we would be open to doing something new if we're doing everything else new.
I have found that of the decisions that we make, votes that will alter how people live, the way our streets are treated, the way we build out our community, people won't read that. If you want to talk about changing a color or a font, you're in for a massive discussion because everyone has an opinion.
It's true.
And what you often end up with that big community input is a big mess. I tend to appreciate the logo that we have only because it represents the community in a broad fashion, I think, and
Palm trees.
highlights our history. Van Camp's was a huge thing here, not because it had a windmill, because it was one of the biggest employers in the area when this was all an Italian-American community, and how this community was formed around it. And not that those things can't change, I'm just saying it's a can of worms. If I had a personal opinion to it, the one thing that I really appreciate is that we had an adult font on it. And
We don't now. Is that what you're saying?
No.
You're saying the one that's on it
Wait,
now?
no.
No, I'm
No,
just,
we're
I'm
talking about
asking
the
for
logo.
clarification.
Wait, I want to hear Annapolline's thought.
I'm actually not being critical of anything, I'm just giving my opinion, so allow me to just finish. And I think that this is an adult city group, and so I just would like to see it have the type of respect that it should deserve, and its logo be emblematic of the community.
Helene, I just wanted a point of clarification. Are you saying this isn't an adult font, you want it to go back to what it was at some year prior? Because it's in all lowercase? Is that what you were saying? I wasn't sure what you were referring to when you said it used to have an adult font.
Previous to what I see on this, yes, I mean, this looks
The header
fine.
font on that
One
whole
we're
thing.
talking
The
about
whole thing,
template
it
for
kind
the
of looks like
agendas,
fun.
and the other we're
And
talking
you
about.
preferred it when
Oh,
it looked
are
more
you talking about the
serious?
agenda font?
No, she's talking about where it says Glassell Park on the logo.
The header agenda font.
Hmm?
Header agenda font.
Oh yeah, most definitely. That's another thing.
And then,
Completely.
Wait,
did you change the logo?
are you
No.
not
No.
talking?
Okay,
We were only talking about the logo.
Guys.
Fine.
So the header agenda,
Mhm.
that is a result of a transfer issue from the way we're doing things to this. It'll be changed back to the Times New Roman that we currently have, or used to have, because I agree this is just a temporary measure. But the discussion is the logo itself.
And I was referencing that
Okay,
as well.
cool. Okay.
And just one quick comment about this font. It's the Neutra font. It was designed by a famed designer.
We all
So-
know Neutra.
Okay, he's as adult as it gets as far as fonts go.
So
I mean,
We all have an opinion.
Yeah,
okay,
so the
no,
question
I get
is,
that. I'm just saying it's not like a childish font.
so the question is, do we want to move this to the board to see if they would like a possible rebrand?
Sure, I just think that, one, too many cooks. And two, logo design is something that people are paid lots of money to do. The idea of having amateurs go at a logo is,
That's a very fair point.
it's dicey. And this is
Well, I'm not an amateur, and I donated my
Jane,
time for
hold on,
first.
just 1 second.
I'm
Other
saying,
people
if
will.
we open it to a contest, like we're talking about,
Right.
amateurs will submit.
But theirs won't get chosen because they won't be good, right? I
Don't
mean,
know.
We can't say one way or
but
the other.
whatever is good is what we'll choose, and it won't matter whether it was
So
an
what
amateur
it's-
or professional who did it.
Correct, and I'm gonna end this discussion right here saying, what I have seen myself from usually fan competitions or things like that is you do tend to get very subpar results. Sometimes you get a hidden gem, sometimes you don't. You can't say one way or the other. Marge has a very good point on that. We don't want our logo to look childish. As Helene said, we want it to represent the adult community that we are and what we represent. So I absolutely agree with that. Would we still want to go forward with this? Can we just get a show of hands? Because it sounds like we're divided. I don't know if it's 2 to 3 or a 3 to 2.
I'm trying to understand why.
Because
Is
a
it-
lot of
Is
people
it just to
have
reach
discussed-
out to the community and a lot of people that just hate the logo?
A lot of people hate the logo. A lot of people.
It's-
Palm trees don't represent Glassell Park at all. The 3 hills are in the design that I came up with, so it's not like I was ditching everything.
I'm not even talking about your logo at all.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, you know.
I'm only talking about this one right here.
So I think that, I think that we are changing a lot of things going forward. We're trying to change the standing rules, which I know most people won't read, but I'm sure we'll get a lot of
Will affect us.
pushback about that.
Definitely.
It will affect us. And also, there was already the, sort of attempt to change the committee stuff, which will change once the standing rule stuff changes. And I also think that we need to take a step back as we put on the board, give our 90 to 10, and show a little bit of respect to our elders for a little while, and not try to say, like, this sort of comes across as like, hi, we're new in town, we know how to do everything better than everybody else.
Sure.
But they could have run for the neighborhood council.
Hold on. And I think that they're, regardless of whoever could run, I think we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves with just like wiping the slate clean.
Sure.
That's all.
Yeah, that sounds good. So then let's table this one, and if we ever want to come back to a rebranding, we will.
You know, can I just make a point though, that if you guys recall, the reason Eagle Rock won the award was they weren't afraid to change everything. Dave Green went in and just cleaned it up. They just said, you know what? Out with the old, in with the new. They're amazing now. Everybody respects them because they were not afraid to say we're gonna make major changes, and the people who just wanna get, complainy about people taking initiative, well, they can complain. They're entitled to complain. If they wanna get involved and participate in the process, they're welcome to. But who ran for neighborhood council? We did. And we are here to try to do things the best that we can. And we have good ideas, and we should go forward with those good ideas. And you know what? The community loved the shirts. If that was our logo, they liked it.
May I just say, community loves free shirts.
There's a point.
It doesn't matter what was on them. They would like a free t-shirt. I mean, I'm not saying that they weren't lovely shirts. I'm saying it's not the logo that did it. It's the fact that there was a free shirt. So I cannot express more enough that logo, there's nothing wrong with it.
Agreed. Yeah, let's table it.
Well, see, okay, this is another reason why I don't like the executive committee, is like, why aren't we letting the board vote on this idea? The board all has an opinion on this idea.
I'm trying to trim the fat of the board meeting and get it to board business, and this right now can be tabled for another time.
It is. We don't have to say that this never
We've got a
happens,
lot going on.
but this is clearly a contentious thing, and we can come back to it.
Is it really contentious? There are.
We spent more time on this than we did on
And I bet you
standing
the board
rules.
meeting is gonna spend a lot of time.
I don't think the new board members
Cool,
are gonna
I
find
move
it
table.
as.
I second. We'll come back to it, Jamie.
I mean, we're gonna be making our new website and everything. be nice to have it ready.
We
The
can
new
come back to
It would be
logo in
great
time.
if this logo were on that website.
It would be.
Continuing on. So next, item N, discussion possible action to create Glassell Park recognition certificates. Now, I really personally support this idea because I would like to see Glassell Park Neighborhood Council recognize people exceeding, doing great things in Glassell Park. Some form of recognition for people doing well within Glassell Park. The idea is to task the outreach committee to outreach and find these people that are doing exceptional things, and we can say, you know, as we've identified as a board, we have this month we're pushing sustainability. Who are heroes in Glassell Park doing sustainability? Let's honor them, let's get them some publicity, and let's bring people who want to help them to that. So that's the entire idea of a Glassell Park recognition certificate. Do we all want to push forward with that?
Yes.
Yes, 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 cool.
Again, when I read this, I thought public arts should probably be involved. If you want to design a certificate, public arts department
I agree.
probably should be. I mean, it is consistent. It does kind of consist of artists.
Agreed. At least we get them in. Yeah,
Do we wanna make something that looks really nice, kinda like the city one, and then a folder and stuff?
that'd be, I haven't
I
seen
mean, a
that one,
rip
but I
off,
assume
it's
it
kind of a
looks
rip off of the LA City one with Glassell Park.
Does it look really good?
Well, it's something that would look professional and like nice with a
Didn't you
nice
get one?
look to it.
Reference form that you did.
Oh, for the thank you one, not a welcome.
Yeah. That, by all means, I want it to look official, like they received something worth something.
Okay.
So, yeah, if the LA City,
Like all the ones in the bottom of the paper.
there you go, the ones that mean something.
Those.
So that's the idea.
You bring those in for reference.
Alright, the last item, so we can move it along, is to review all standing and ad hoc committees. Now, this is kind of a redo, as everybody here is aware. We will actually have the correct language in the agenda to do what we have the tools to do, and we will see what ad hoc committees actually exist, because apparently we're learning that we had a neighborhood watch ad hoc committee.
I think that happened at this special meeting, but I don't remember.
Just the first.
Oh.
We're gonna have to get a good roster of what we actually have and who's in them. So all good to stand and repopulate committees again?
Yeah, I did put on there this.
Sure we got it.
Do you have an appoint interim chairpersons for all continuing committees, but didn't we talk about appoint a board member or alternate board member for the actual, not interim? So that we could.
It would be,
Because we talked about drawing names if we had to.
yes, that's
Remember
in,
what I mean?
right, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. The idea would be that we have to pass the standing rule first, that only a GPNC board member or board alternate can chair the land use and the land use committee. And from there, it's still a gray area because we dissolve and repopulate committees. The rules allow me to appoint a chairperson, which means there's no discussion. I choose Laura.
Right.
And then it goes from there. But then at the first meeting, they elect their own officers. So under the standing rules, they elect their own officers. They would have to follow the rule that still has to be a chair, or a board member. So it wouldn't be me appointing a permanent.
But you'll appoint an interim person to call the meeting.
Correct. Alright, moving down to funding requests. I put up this number here, I don't know if it's high or low. Discussion possible action to approve up to $300 to purchase a projector.
It varies.
I just kind of want to go back, because normally when I've done executive board meetings for things, we try to think ahead of what that's going to be like at the meeting so that we'll know what to prepare for.
Sure.
And we kind of went through very quickly, and I hope that's the way it is, but you know it probably won't be. And so I simply wanted to throw out that it would probably behoove the executive committee to be thinking about how they're going to handle that. Particularly always it's in regards to land use. And we talked about it a little bit during bylaws, but just so that you guys will be prepared with hats, numbers, whatever is necessary to
So
make
to
that happen.
further what Helene's mentioning is that the last bylaws meeting, we came up with a method for what happens when more than 9 people want to join a committee. Because the cap is 9. So the best, most fair way we could find is literally names in a hat. It just leaves up to fate. So assuming that we will have that, we should be prepared for that. So
there are tickets, like raffle tickets.
Bless you.
Single sheet in our office, I saw them the other day.
Oh, yeah, just.
So we can just have people write their names on the back of those, each one a ticket. We have many a jar, or ice bucket, whatever, and use it.
Great.
Done.
Brian, you wanna bring your Dodgers hat?
And probably best if we have anyone from the city still present, which is doubtful, but to find the most neutral person possible to pick the names out.
Right. Nancy Dillon Thomas. Who?
Instead of me doing it?
She's so sweet.
Yeah, it's just pulling it out.
You better not do it. That could be dangerous.
Just pulling names out of the hat?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, not you, no.
No, no,
We should have like
Really?
a dog.
Everyone else has to do it.
Okay. I didn't see it, I thought it was just
He knew the long ones.
Okay.
No, we should like.
He had a special color on there.
Pick a kid out of the audience
To do it.
Yeah, right. And
Neutral
show
third
it.
party.
and
So
show
these,
it.
that person isn't saying,
Yeah.
oh, it's March, and,
Okay.
you know, yeah, you gotta.
It's March again, wow!
How many Marges are in here? Okay, so then that'll be the game plan. We'll have Mr. Dodger's hat, and we'll use the raffle tickets, and a third party will pull them out.
If this.
If it comes down to
It may not be.
Alright, so back to 7A, $300 to purchase a projector. Does that sound like a good amount?
Yes.
Amount?
Do we wanna maybe ask to have that up to amount be a little bit higher in case, just in case? Since it's just an up to amount?
They're not that.
Well, it depends.
I
I'll
thought they were like
look into that
$100.
tomorrow, what we can get for that price. But you may wanna make it up a little higher, I don't know.
Like 500? And then hopefully spend less, but at least then if it's, then we don't have to bring it
I
back
mean,
to
the
a
cheesy ones are
subsequent
probably
meeting.
pretty crappy, but they're nowhere near what they used to cost.
Is this just for
That one
the,
in the closet that I donated to the GPI, which is a piece of junk,
We bought
cost
it.
$12,000 in 19 something, but now they're like, that's horrible, that one, but it's old, so.
Okay, so
My projector.
But they're available for way less.
$800? Movie quality?
We maybe wanna say like,
That's HD, I
Was
don't,
it
you don't want
500?
the HD though.
yeah.
That
Just
is
think, I mean,
Do
it
we
would have to
definitely
be
not
that
need
expensive,
HD?
but I would, I mean,
up
If
to.
it's gonna be really big,
I don't know, if like $299 plus tax.
The
Those
screens
things
are
are
off.
narrow.
is it huge?
No, it's
Yeah.
narrow.
Okay, we'll put up
The
to 500.
screen is huge, are you
Narrow.
sure we don't need?
It's narrow.
Google in front of me.
Yeah, pull the projector, how much does it
Well,
cost?
I saw a
Movies
coupon
is
the other
great.
day for $179.
We're done.
No, that's true, but
I saw
like
one.
if it's Edlux stuff,
We can get.
it is imagery.
I don't know.
I don't know what about
There's a good one for $500.
board meetings are on Tuesdays.
Top
They're on Tuesdays.
I just think we have to.
There's a
do
good one for
something.
$399.
It's at the very top of the website now.
Alright, let's say up to 500 and find the best thing we can find for below 300.
Okay.
How about that?
I really like though, because you're.
Deal. We'll go to our review
Well,
site.
because actually, you might, depending on the projectors, you should buy it.
Did you do that? Is it
You want
just
speaker?
300? Or is this
No.
2,000?
You want sound quality?
No,
No sound.
we're not showing them.
If you go to senior night, it would be nice, starts at 2, so.
Yeah, you can do that, because it has to be on the funding.
Okay, so I'll change that to 500 and we'll find what we can. Next up, funding request 7B, discussion possible action to approve $1,000 in addition to the already approved amount to commission original artwork map of Glassell Park by artist Tom Lamb as wall mural for main room at the GP Community and Senior Center. Artwork would become property of the GPNC and could be used on promotional materials in our newsletters, etc. You want to speak to this?
So the special meeting that we did to spend up our money by the end of June, we, up to $2,000 for the purchase and installation of a wall mural map. That was at the time that we thought we were gonna just use a generic city map. The wall mural company, we paid $675. So we have a credit with them waiting for our art to be submitted.
Oh, cool.
At 8 feet by 10 feet for that yellow wall. I have asked Mel at least 3 times to get an estimate from General Services as to what it will cost to adhere it like wallpaper. And now possibly coat it so that it doesn't, so we can use it as a dry erase thing. So anyway, we've already approved up to $2,000, of which we've spent $675.
Okay.
Then, this is Tom Lamb, you've probably seen his work.
Oh, that's nice.
He does this kind of thing, it's a completely accurate map with all the streets, so it can be used for pinpointing our EDLU stuff or whatever. He will do it so that Glassell Park is in color But because we're such an odd shape and it's not fitting on that wall proportionally, he will make it fill the space by putting everything else on our borders in black and white. So he'll still decorate it, but only Glassell Park will pop in color and be fully, detailed. So then, my suggestion would be, if we spring for that, and he said he could do it for, he will do it, he said anywhere between $1,000 and $2,000, so I thought, well, but so we have about that left.
Right.
But that doesn't include whatever the city wants to charge us for mounting it. And if you'll notice that table there, I thought clear acrylic sheets from Home Depot, they're 4 feet by 8 feet, so we would need 2.5.
Sure.
In order to protect it from that kind of thing and also be able to draw on it.
It would be better if we didn't have to have one with a seam, because what's gonna happen is it's gonna get
We
dirty
can't get an
along
8 by
that
10 sheet of acrylic, 8 feet by 10 feet
You're
sheet.
sure that that's not gettable?
I looked all
Home
over the
Depot's not
place.
the place to look.
No, this is just to show us that what's available and how much money it costs.
I have some connections I can probably talk to see if that
If we
exists
can get
and if it's a reasonable price.
a giant one, we can also, they make a dry erase clear paint that you can just roll it on and it's dry, but it's not gonna protect it from the tables.
No.
And if the
And glass
markers
is
ever,
like $2,000.
if the markers ever are, when the marker is hard to get off and you try to clean it off, it might
Yeah, we don't wanna damage the artwork, that's for sure. So this is why I was asking for 1,000, I don't think it will be.
So we have 1325 remaining from the pre-approved, asking for another 1,000 to
Just to
cover
be safe
for safety.
for general services.
And you said you reached out to them and got no answer?
Mel said he would,
Okay.
Mel. And he's, and I've asked more than once. So now I wanna add on, if we wanna spring for acrylic, then I need to ask him to add not only wallpaper, but also drilling the holes to put the acrylic in front of it. So,
Seems all on board with me.
so, I think we need to put an up to on there, but other than that, so, we'll do this whole same presentation, and Jamie, sure, if you have a contact for acrylics, and you can find me an 8 foot by 10 foot.
I'll
As an
ask,
add.
I
Perfect.
And I could also look at Ballard.
I'm still gonna ask my peeps, because we may be able to get it wholesale.
Right.
May, I'm gonna ask.
Same with Ballard.
Right.
I'm assuming this
'cause you
map
have
is
friends there?
truncated, right?
Okay.
Roads are
I
missing.
love Valor.
He has,
You can get Jason
that's
jars of
what
Valor.
exists now, but
And
it's
you
just
get
a
a single
sample
one,
of.
you
The
have
other,
really tall
the only other thing I'm concerned about on this map is that it's like artistically creative and things aren't pointing the right way, it appears, and stuff. Like where my house is not looking where it would be looking, and which may be an issue. I
And
don't know.
Helene's house isn't even on it.
Well, that's
Well,
because
no,
it's
no, no.
truncated up
This
That's
there.
is
a
an example.
sample.
But
That's a
I'm looking
sample.
at like around
He
where
never
my
did
house
Glassell
is,
Park.
like
He
what
did
it
only
looks
five.
like,
That
and
was
it's
a
looking,
quick rough draft of Glassell
No,
Park?
he did Mount Washington.
it's cool, I
They
mean, I,
commissioned it, so
but
he
if
did
people
Mount
get up and
Washington,
start
and
looking
there
for
happened
stuff,
to
it
be
may
some of
seem like
Glassell Park in it.
Right.
weird perspective.
But now, well, we'll just tell
You
him, it needs to look like a map.
Well, it's,
Well, he makes a point. I love Tom's
no,
work.
it's great.
I think it's impressionistic art and it's beautiful and it would never look better. And there's a little part of me that's saying, but we're looking at this map for very exacting things. And so we kind of need to be able to say, well, you can see where the road turns this way and that's why we're having a problem. But I don't want to talk myself out of it because I love his work.
My feeling is that something that's as detailed as that's where the road turns is something we need to project.
Okay, good.
Because that's, no map, the city map blown up isn't gonna be as detailed as something like that.
You're right.
So I think that
Back to
this can serve for a lot of really good conversation. And it also creates a great thing for photos when we have these photos from our meetings and stuff, and they're just hideous against that wall. It's like, oh, this awful wall looking into the senior room is the background of all of our photos. So now we could stand against that and it would be kind of,
And also, he's a very skilled artist, so if we wanna say,
I told
it
them
needs
already.
to be, it needs to be accurate, like
That's
traced on the lines, you can do that.
Yeah.
But I noticed this has a little bit of topography built into it, that's why they look a little skewed, and that almost adds a new helpful element.
I think
I like it.
we're gonna have this conversation again. I think it's
Oh,
great.
sure.
We can continue it on.
Okay.
Alright.
Oh, I have one more little bit, sorry. Oh,
Sure,
I'll
go.
wait for public comment or whatever the last
No,
one
no.
is.
If it's some, go ahead.
Today I said to Molly, whatever happened to those doors for the bulletin board that we bought?
Yeah, yeah.
We paid for replacement doors because they got stolen. Turns out they were delivered to 3850 Verdugo Road, which doesn't exist. They were sent and we should have gotten them on June 30th.
So wait, what does that mean?
Well, I haven't gone there yet. I just found out today that they were signed for by somebody named F. Francisco. And I don't know if, I Googled 3850 Verdugo Road, it doesn't appear, it's like between the Chevron station and whatever's next to that, up on Verdugo.
Oh, really?
So I don't know who this F. Francisco is, and now I'm gonna have to like find out from FedEx if they can send me a copy of what they
Please,
did.
please follow up on
Was it
that.
ordered on Amazon?
No, it's Siegel Displays, and she's the one that sent me all this. I called her today and said, you know, where's our stuff?
Was she aware of this or?
No, she thought it was long finished and done.
Nice.
So, yeah,
Okay.
I need to follow that up, I guess.
Yeah, Ryan.
I would lay it back on Siegel Display and say, where's my stuff? And
I
leave it
did
at that for a
already.
while. Well, I would say you need your stuff, and if they
Yeah, well, I
hire
thought
a
I would
delivery person
spend,
to deliver it to the wrong place, it's not you to be running around looking
oh, no,
for
no,
it.
Did
Well,
we give them the right address or the
that's
wrong
what I'm
address? That's-
curious
well, that, I don't know, I didn't send
If you
it,
didn't, then
I
it's your issue. If you did, then
I
it's
didn't
their
order it, Molly did.
Doesn't seem like a mistake Molly would make.
Ship to 3850 Verdugo Road.
Right.
Well, before we go hunting, we
But it also
should
says
check
rec center,
ourselves.
so I wanna be sure that the rec center doesn't have any. Like maybe someone signed for it and said, oh, it says rec center, so they dropped it off over there.
I guess what I would recommend before we start going back and saying where's our stuff and all this, let's check our bases at wherever 3850 is, let's check the rec center, let's check our order, make sure we actually put down the right address. So we'll check
Yeah, so
online.
I'll just look at Molly.
If we did everything properly and they screwed up, then we'll get
Yeah.
that fixed.
Oh, yeah, but
Okay.
anyway, that's the status of the,
So, good to know. Alright, 7C, discussion possible action to approve up to $600 for Operation Firefly plus bike ride. This is Chris Elves. I can read his little description here. The Los Angeles Bicycle Coalition had an ongoing program where they hand out bike lights free in exchange for some demographics information. My idea would also include a bike ride component where we explore the Glassell neighborhood, including 4 to 5 stops where various community members can share fun historical facts or talk about improvements along the route, and possibly even stop off at some of the local businesses for lunch or dinner. So this comes from Chris Elves.
sounds like a traveling block party to me.
It does sound like a traveling block party to me, and I like the idea of it, and it could help with the style of our block parties, where one is here, we're doing an event, this one's moving along. I have spoken with Reyes at City Farm. Hey guys, I spoke with Reyes at City Farm. He would be willing to do something like this. He even proposed, can we go on a bike ride kind of thing, and I can talk about the flora and fauna of what's going on in Glassell Park. I'd also like Neela Greenspace to be involved in something like this and talk about the area. So I think it's a phenomenal idea. He's asking for $600, which is $1,000 or $400 less than we're budgeting for a block party. I think it would be a great sense to do this as a block party event.
So you would bike to a plate, like bike, and then you stop, and then you talk about the space, and then you bike, and stop, and talk about it. Not
Sounds like the general premise of it, and they hand out free things, hand out bike lights, and in exchange for some demographics information, which I'm not 100% sure what that means.
Driver's
I mean,
license.
as long as you
Social security
tell
number.
them some information so that they can collect information about who rides bicycles in the city.
Right, yeah.
What's the money
checks,
for? Huh? What's the money for?
deposit slips.
$600 just as
The
for the
bike
event.
lights, probably,
How
because
much?
they give out free bike lights.
Well, they.
There's free.
This is Los Angeles Bicycle.
It says for
No,
Operation
they need to buy
Firefly.
them.
It is interesting though. What's the 600 for?
Yeah, what is the 600?
Can you Google Operation Firefly right now, see what it entails?
Hand out bike lights for free
Also,
in
I
exchange,
just
so you give me these
discovered the bow tie parcel, which is on our side of the river. There's an art installation there right now, so I went and looked at it on
a couple mornings
I
ago.
don't know what that is.
It's, Glassell Park borders the river, right? So if you can get in there, it's right where the, when we did the river cleanup, is how you get there. But if you go down, go Fletcher, turn on Laclede, you come back toward the train tracks, and then you go in, and there's a cul-de-sac and you can park. And then you walk in. And it's actually a asphalt river path that's on the Glassell Park side, which I didn't even know existed. I mean, from the other side.
I mean, down by Home Depot is where you can access it?
No, over by
That's too
Fletcher,
far.
on Fletcher.
Because I know you can access it off of Ripple, which is off of Fletcher, but I thought you couldn't get to the river path in our neighborhood.
Anyway, that would be a place to do a bike ride.
I like that idea.
All I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah, I would be into, it's no, I was at the river camp, so.
It was the other side
Yeah,
of the river.
it's the other side of the river,
I see what you're getting at.
anyway.
So-
Yeah, storage is, oh no, it's on the left, we're going across the center. But Operation Firefly looks like it's all volunteer stuff. And they don't say, there's nothing about $600 or.
Maybe it's $600 for outreach for the bike, to get people to come to the bike ride. I mean,
It could be.
outreach.
I like the idea of the event. I don't like the idea that Chris isn't here to speak about it, and I don't
Well,
think
he
he's a
will
good.
be though, so we can put it on the agenda.
I'm
Doesn't he
not
have
sure if
to,
he's gonna be the
doesn't he have to
Oh.
leave the room because he recuses himself?
It's
Right.
a different,
What is that?
there's two Chris's.
Chris
Chris
Allen.
Alves,
So,
but Chris Alves is the one that's on
our board,
but then there's the other, isn't the other guy also named Chris, the other yacht club guy?
Chris Bond. Chris
Yeah,
Bond, yes,
so couldn't he speak about it instead?
if it pertains to
Under
him.
public comment? It's yacht club. But,
No, that's the other event. That's not. This is not the yacht club.
oh, I'm sorry.
You're still in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear,
Yeah.
so Chris is not going to be at the board meeting?
I have not received confirmation from him yet. He wasn't. I know he's out of town right now,
Ah.
and I did not get a response on how long he'd be out of town.
Well, how about if we just approve putting these things on the agenda?
And then
Yeah.
he's there. He's
If
there.
he's there to present, great, and if he's not, then it's tabled until he is there.
I'm okay with that.
There you go.
My only concerns are safety and short time.
What are you concerned about?
Safety.
And people Oh, for having the bikes. ride.
Well, there's really not like awesome places to ride bikes in Glassell Park other
No.
than exactly where the bow tie parcel is, which is even
Even
that
dicey.
awesome.
Well, I'm assuming they're gonna use the existing bike lanes, not Eagle Rock.
The other thing about making this a block party is that Chris Elb is a business rep. He's not an area rep
He's an organization.
or organizational rep. So
he could
partner.
partner with a block.
So we would need an area rep to figure out, hey, let's ride bikes through my area and then go from there.
I think the yacht club's located in my area, and there's bike paths on Eagle Rock Boulevard in my area. So maybe he could partner with me. I'd wanna know more about it before I go.
Sure. So we
Agree
can
to do that.
we'll put this on the agenda, and if he's there, he's there. If he's not, he's not.
Bikes are allowed everywhere.
So the next item, D.
Not
She's saying
safely.
saying safety, especially if children join. You'd want them on
it
bike
would be
paths.
cool. I would like to spend money on
Let's do a
things
naked
that
bike
kids
ride,
can
like
do.
Portland.
Yes,
No,
agreed.
thank you.
And the problem with that is if you're talking about plants in an area and you've got 15 people with their bikes, nobody can hear past this amount.
Exactly.
So it's.
We'd have to figure out the
Right.
logistics. That's the
They
word.
could
Thank
have
you.
like a promotional video about how that looks, and they can say it's really awesome and look how much people enjoy it. I mean, I want to know more because these are all legitimate.
Agreed. Agreed. So that's what we'll do. His next item was discussion possible action to approve up to $600 for a summer pool event / party. The Eagle Rock Yacht Club has permitted the Glassell pool and opened it up to the public for free access in the past. We've also held a barbecue during the event and welcomed new members to our club. It's a great way to do some community outreach and get our GPNC name out to the community. He's asking for $300 for a pool permit and $200 to $300 for food costs. So
Who's gonna food for National Night Out?
we're gonna find out soon. He has not given me any dates.
Soon, because it won't be summer.
So speaking just from my experience with National Night Out planning this, one second. Really want to partner with the pool and the rec center. They are not our friends currently, just being honest. But every individual person I talk to who's not in charge loves the idea of doing things and would like to see a combination of it. So the more we can do and just establish good faith, saying, look, see what we're doing? This is us. This is who we are. Let's continue that. I think that would be great. So I like the idea of doing a pool party in that sense. I'd like to see a date on that, and it's also, if the Eagle Rock Yacht Club is mentioned in the sense that he'd like to do it in combination with the yacht club, then maybe we'd share the cost with the yacht club. If it's not a yacht club thing, then it's
Yeah.
entirely neighborhood council.
To me, it reads like that's explaining that that it's been done before.
Right, that's kind of what I got to.
And
Right.
what area is this? Sorry, I didn't see you.
It's right here, so.
I know, but I mean, whose
The
area is
pool's
that?
in my area, I believe.
Oh.
I believe. I know Habitat is in my area.
Probably.
Yeah, Brian.
Yeah, Chris, I wish Chris was here because he has a lot of free things that cost $200 to $300, so. Eagle Rock has permitted the Glass Hill Pool and it's open to the public for free access in the past.
Yeah, but the pool permit costs
Free
$200
to
to
the public.
$300. So it's free for people to go because
He
someone else
mentions
paid
free
for
a
it.
lot and then puts a price on it, so it's not really free, so.
No, the
Free
free
to the public.
access.
Free to the public.
access.
That's what my economics taught me.
The kids can come for free,
Go
so
free
if
lunch.
they normally can't go because their parents won't give them money to go, they can go this day.
I think this plays along to the same one. We need more information, and let's just put it there. If he's there, we can learn more about it. If not, so be it.
Thank you.
Item E, discussion possible action to approve up to 1,000 for the joint area 6-7 block party. We discussed this
I
earlier.
would like clarification from the board as to whether it's money per area or per block party, because our retreat, we decided it was per area.
Correct.
If that's the case, then I would ask for the allotment, the equal allotment for myself, my area, and for Patrick's. It's only fair to my constituents and Patrick's.
So we're talking about $7,000 for block parties.
Yes.
I really need to get a copy of that budget.
Yep.
Because I've got a feeling we are spending money we don't have. Or we're gonna have to pull it from other things, because this is all outreach. And even if we've only spent $3,000 on National Night Out, $7,000 brings us up to our full budget on outreach, not including.
I was under the understanding that it was 500 per block, per area, which is why it's 1,000, but I looked down and see Heather's asking for 1,000.
And that's just me putting out a random number.
Okay. So
That number has no basis on
just
anything.
need clarification on that, and just, then
So maybe somebody can research it.
I don't think that if the number has no basis on anything, I don't think the number should be on the board agenda.
But we can't vote and approve it in time for the party.
She needs a time sheet.
Yeah, that's
So
a pain.
so if we say up to 1,000, and if you guys will research it before the board meeting and ask for a specific amount, so it'll say up to 1,000, but at the meeting you can say, we want $650, and we can approve $650 because the agenda set up to 1,000. So we're allowed to say, yes, we approve it, but only $650, because it's a number smaller than the number that's there, right?
Yes, up to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that gives us the safety.
Yeah, Brian.
Off the top of your head, Marie, what do you
Yes.
think you would need to do a block party in your area?
We're hoping for September 17th. We're already trying to get that confirmed because Little Ripper opens the
He means
weekend of
financially.
Labor Day.
Financially though, I mean, what do you think you could, off the top of your head, would 1,000 be too much?
I'm working on the budget right now.
And were you just saying that you wanna have a separate one for Patrick, or you and Patrick wanna have the same
We're
one?
going together.
Okay, good, so it's one area 7, one block
6
party,
and 7 together.
maybe $1,000.
Maybe 1,000. We're also asking the businesses of Verdugo Village to hopefully participate.
Okay, thank you.
And you had stepped out of the room earlier, Brian, during the point report. Can't talk tonight. During the part, we went over it. A responsibility of the member at large would be to work with the area reps to establish the block parties, to wrangle, say, all right, so if we're gonna have this in area 6 and 7 Verdugo Village, it would be your job as member at large to get our business reps on the board, to work in that area specifically with the businesses to say, hey, we're holding a block party, let's get them in. The education rep, if there's any schools in the area, the faith-based, with yourself even, if there's any churches in the area.
Just so you know, Brian, I've already spoken to Molly about helping out. She's on board.
You know, I love that you guys are trying to get the whole thing organized, but as Maria's experienced, there's, just some natural things that flows. I know the area very well, I'll be helping her, of course, and so it wouldn't make sense for Brian to even go into that when we know what we're doing.
We're just talking about long lead planning.
That's essentially what it is. The member at large says, all right, we're in area 6 and 7, business reps. For this block party, look in area 6 and 7. It's more of a managing position.
And not an executive.
But it's also creating a calendar, right?
Yeah, it's creating the calendar for what's going on, managing that. Go ahead, Laura.
I just want from, this is really to my other area, and I'm not wildly familiar with every other area, but, my area doesn't have businesses that.
Lori, can you speak up a little bit?
My area, where area 1 doesn't really have the kind of businesses that would necessarily be involved in something like this, so we kind of have accessory, it's like that much accessory support to any block party. One we had, so.
You say there's no businesses that might want to come.
No, there are businesses, but we don't have coffee shops, we have gangs. So I just want some kind of like.
It doesn't have to
But
be.
a traditional block party is just neighbors
potluck.
get together
That's
and do
it.
potluck. Right. Ours turned into something else because it was sort of tied into this specific business
Yeah.
opening.
And it's up to the area rep as the, throwing a block party. What would you like to do? You know your area best.
If yours on the 17th and Heather thinks hers is gonna be on the 24th,
That's the issue. I talked to her about that.
it's like,
It's a tight turnaround.
Exactly. Her issue is, why does that matter? That's what she said. And I went, throwing 2 events right next to each other is very difficult. I can't promise anything, but I'll put it on the agenda.
well, it just seems to me that our idea was to, I would say.
Space it out.
Yeah, to have something
Does
every.
she have a reason why it has to be that?
Every setting. My idea would be that if we have something where we can do a tester with a tangible date coming up immediately, let's go with that, where we have the CD support already, and then use that as our test pilot to say, what can we do in the future? So I would say for item F, that will come up at the meeting, but I'd say item E would be the one to go ahead with, and use that to see, is $1,000 a good amount for block parties? Is that the way to do it? Is 500 the amount? Is it 2,000, et cetera, et cetera? Because the 1,000 I put on there is just tossing a number out.
Up to is fine.
Up to. So, all good with E and F right now to put those forward?
Sure.
Hear something?
Yeah, do we want to do these completely on our own, or would it be possible you would co-do them with CD offices possibly?
No, we want to do them with CD offices as much as
Well,
possible.
maybe we can even do it for way less.
Exactly.
I mean, if they supply systems and maybe some food and stuff.
I think you had stepped out when we had talked about all that earlier. We had said that after National Night Out, the CDs are very pleased with us currently, and they want to see more events.
Right.
Words out of their mouth. They would like to see us do more things.
I mean, it helps if you have someone that's running for office, so CD1 may be a good one right now.
For F, I'd like you to amend that to 500, please.
Sure. See no problem with that. We're throwing out numbers. So 500 for block
Change the number to 500?
for F.
Just for
F,
the second one.
Just because area 6 and 7 are working together, we're asking for 1,000.
Gotcha.
Heather's asking for 1,000.
That's too
She's
serious,
asking
I see.
500.
Yeah.
I see.
Okay. So we'll say 500 and try to partner with the CDs as much as possible while we're in their good graces and continue to stay in their good graces, especially with elections. That's a good point. All right, so that concludes that. Moving up to H, we have new business. Anything anyone wants to throw in?
Yes.
Go ahead.
First, Marge.
Go ahead, Marge.
I have 2 possible letters of request.
Okay.
One's a letter of request, the other's a letter of opposition, that we might want to consider drafting and discussing. First of all, the San Francisco supervisors adopted the nation's strictest ban on polystyrene foam, prohibiting its use in take-out containers and shipping materials and barring its retail sale. Santa Monica, Hermosa Beach, Manhattan Beach, and Pasadena have all passed laws prohibiting food service businesses from using to-go containers made of polystyrene foam. The city and county of LA and LAUSD have prohibited its use in their facilities and schools. I suggest a letter asking city council members to consider a citywide ban on polystyrene foam.
Thank you very much.
I would even go farther personally and say use like a compressed paper product. I don't know if you've been to like Habitat and D3, they're using compostable. I would love to see them say, we're gonna use compostable containers, throw them in the green
We're
bin.
just approving that's gonna put on the agenda?
Yes.
Move to approve.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Seconded.
yes. And the other one is a letter in opposition. LA County is considering a plan to allow property owners to haul in drinking water where no other source is available, thus allowing development in rural unincorporated areas. Currently, building permits are not issued for single-family residences unless developers can tap groundwater or a public or private water supply. An EIR finds significant and unavoidable impacts to air quality, biological and cultural resource, land use and planning, public services, recreation, and utilities. In addition, the EIR finds that water supplies would something on the availability of water, would depend on the availability of water haulers and retailers, and warns that in single dry and multiple dry year scenarios, there will not be sufficient water. This is a letter asking the LA County supervisors to not adopt this plan.
Yep, I moved to put that on the
It
agenda.
makes no sense.
I'm gonna put it on the agenda. Alright,
I have something.
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so, I submitted, I think you guys all got this email, so item 3 from what I submitted was about sustainability. So the text of that was discussion of possible action to embrace an ethic of sustainability as a core operating principle of the CCC to become more in line with both the community's and the city's mandates. And then my little write-up about it was, the city of LA is committed to a goal of sustainability, so we're not only somewhat beholden to ourselves to aim for more sustainability, but it's the right thing to do anyhow. Can we make sustainability an ethic that we embrace as a board on the whole? How do we better align ourselves with the city's mandate by making sustainability a core tenet of our operations, not just a peripheral thing we consider from time to time? Can we adopt sustainability, social, economic, and environmental, as a part of our purpose, whether that's adding to the bylaws or whatever course of action seems the best after discussion by the board?
So my immediate thought is how can we make that more than words? Because I agree, I like the idea about it, but what does that translate to?
That was at the bottom, whether that's adding to the bylaws or, that is the question, right? So if everyone's on board, yeah, we want to be sustainable, then part B is how, yes, so that's what I want to discuss with the board.
Okay, yeah.
And I'd love it if we put it in the bylaws. I mean, the city will enthusiastically support us adding it to the bylaws. There will be no opposition from done. And if they try to oppose it, that'll be strange.
My only worry is that we'll put it in there and then it won't mean anything. That we have to make sure that it means more than just words. And so we have to if we're gonna put it into our bylaws that we are sustainable and practicing and pushing that, we have to advocate for that.
Yeah.
You're right.
And does that mean if someone shows up with pizzas and a salad in a plastic thing, we can't even serve it or whatever, someone goes berserk, so.
Was that
I
sustainable?
Well,
don't-
if you can't use it here, is it for us to be sustainable in our neighborhood council practices? And then
I don't
someone,
understand the correlation of pizza though.
well, someone brings a pizza in a plastic box, and then we're in violation of our own,
Oh,
you know.
I get
It's not like that. So like Tree People has, obviously Tree People is an organization that's full of sustainability minded people, and they've had a lot of experiences in the past, and they have already got a kind of an idea of set of best practices. And so like one person tried to dictate what they could eat and things like that, and it didn't go over well. So they don't do that anymore. So they have a lot of great suggestions, but basically shaming is not a part of the culture of promoting better sustainability. Everything you do has to be voluntary. It won't stick if you don't, but you can pull from the body of literature, from the science about what sustainability is,
Yeah, I also moved to
and suggest it to people.
We move to approve.
Great.
Second.
Okay. Moving on from new business, I've lost.
Oh, wait.
track.
So if you guys recall, agenda crafting was my homework.
Okay.
So, here's what I have. Can we come up with a standard procedure which simultaneously enables all of the following? A, lets board members and stakeholders alike feel they can, and if you guys want to follow along, this is in
Just keep reading.
This is in the Google Docs. I'm sorry. Lets board members and stakeholders alike feel they can easily suggest something be added to agenda of upcoming meetings so they feel included in the conversation and like they help to guide GPNC's direction and focus. B, make it easy for those responsible for crafting the agenda.
Just one
Yeah.
question. This is what you want to discuss at the meeting, right?
B, makes it easy for those responsible for crafting the agenda to manage the process. C, includes an option for those who are not inclined to use technology, Colleen. D, creates a level, not because but she suggested that. Okay. Creates a level of transparency so those who submit something for an agenda know whether their idea did in fact make it onto the agenda, with the ability to rectify the situation as long as their idea didn't come in at the last minute, without having to wait over a month for idea to finally see the light of day. So, suggestion for this last one, agenda kept on Google Docs is visible to all. When the update is made, the requester is notified and given the opportunity to review the inclusion and suggest modifications in the event that some part of their suggestion was misunderstood, and be assured that they've been included in the process.
So the suggestion is to keep a living agenda that I will craft for the executive committee that goes to the board meeting as a public document.
That is one of the bullets, is about the living document. But I was gonna say, like, we should have a procedure which enables all of those things. And so the next bullet is living document. By using a living document that can be changed and edits seen right away, if someone sees something on the upcoming agenda and has a related topic they want discussed at the same meeting, or which brings something to mind for them, it can be added to the same agenda so all related matters can be discussed at a single meeting because they were agendized together. And I'll just bring one example from tonight. Budget rep was missing, and I would have, if I'd seen this agenda sooner than I did, because it was, because we had kind of gotten in the habit of making this a practice, I would have been like, ooh, budget rep is missing,
Okay.
And so that's the sort of thing I need.
Sounds good to me. I
And
move
then
to,
the final bullet is descriptive text by asking that agendas,
Emphasis on bullet.
last bullet, descriptive text, by asking that agendas be more descriptive, either on line items or in supporting documents, potential meeting attendees have a better ability to assess whether it's a discussion they wish to be part of. It's also more helpful to folks who cannot attend in ascertaining what was discussed, and will make it easier to convey what happened at meetings, and more useful to the public, as notes or minutes about the meeting can use much of the existing language. So if Laura has to say, we voted on this thing, she can just say, this text here, we said yes to it. It's already there.
cool. I move to approve it. Great. All right. Any public comments?
So did we approve absolutely everything on this
We
except,
just did. Brian.
wait, except the, redesign of the logo? I just want to point out
Yes,
the kind
yes.
of irony of that. We had balls to change the bylaws and all this stuff. And
We
yet-
talked about it. We talked about it. Any public comments?
Yes.
Brian.
Yes.
Yeah, I like to move that we have, no meeting in December and have a holiday shindig thingy or something, a holiday meeting.
I second that.
Oh wait, I did have one more thing, which I wanted to add to the agenda, and it's in opposition
Quickly.
to one of the things that was suggested already. And I want us to discuss whether we need executive board meetings, because aside from the logo idea, which the board could have tabled at the meeting, if we had it on the agenda, all we did was say, here's the agenda for the board meeting, let's approve it.
Yeah, we are protecting our board from sitting through hours and hours.
Okay, I mean, it's just something that I was thinking
We,
we
the
might.
executive board, are the gatekeepers of the board.
To help.
And we make sure that we also are educated on what is going into the agenda to help for that. I see it as a very
And we're
necessary thing.
steering the ship.
Laura,
This latest public comment, I can say whatever.
you can say whatever you'd like.
One of the things that when I found that was slightly difficult, that I wish we had this, what is the email or access that we want to give everyone? We're like, who can I call immediately for this? Or who can I email immediately for this? Like, do we want it to be outreach? Do we want it to be
When you say
general-
who can we call,
like I had
who's the
people,
speaking?
I had like public come
Okay.
up to me, when I'm at the table saying like, I have an issue with my street light, I live on this street, which I have never heard of.
Everyone more.
Yeah, but I don't even know, like, I don't
Which
know
area
the
we're at.
outlines of which area is which, because I don't know the geography terribly well.
Okay.
So I think it would be good to have, but just to have, I mean, if it's the board email and then the board gets all of those, because sometimes it crosses over different areas. And also, the same thing on our monthly newsletter, which we wanna go out, there is no contact information on that newsletter, no such thing. There's not, because I was like, oh, let me see who you're, and then I'm looking at this newsletter and there's nothing on it
There's
about,
not even the map of the area?
there's nothing, wow. So I was like, oh, that's not helpful.
I like
I'm
that.
so sorry.
Yes.
Here, please email outreach@Russell
Sure.
Good to see.
I'd actually like that holiday hiatus thing on the agenda if we could.
Holiday
We
hiatus.
actually did
Yes.
that last year, I think, or the year before, we didn't
Because
have
the
any.
meeting lands on the 20th of December.
We
Is
did.
that what it is?
You're getting dicey
Are you
right
asking
now.
to do the holiday party here, or can we do it?
No, well,
I
some,
would
it
never
doesn't
ask
matter.
her.
This
And
has
with-
to be somewhere where everyone can get in for free and
Okay.
18 and older.
And when we say everybody,
18 and older?
No, it could be any age for a party.
I guess so, there's no, yeah, there's no.
and when we
business.
say holiday shindig, are we talking for the neighborhood council?
It has to
or
be,
for
well, I don't know, we'll have to decide that maybe.
Okay. So holiday shindig. I'll add that on.
Instead, in lieu of a meeting that month.
Right.
One,
We definitely did not meet in 2014 December. I remember that because a lot of people just said,
Well,
Yeah,
there's,
out of town.
there's plenty of time for the town hall at the beginning of December.
okay.
It's true.
sorry, one final thing is, and I
Really
don't know
quick.
if this would fall under the purview of, but Molly mentioned that another paper saving technique is to have less stuff at the top of the agenda, and she referred to one
Like this?
neighborhood council. Well, just like this header, she said that another neighborhood council had these names listed more like side by side, and took up very little room.
I did that one and
And-
she hated it.
Right, but I'm just saying, if we wanna save paper, maybe whoever wants to be responsible for that could look at, I mean, I think it could use a redesign, and so maybe
Sure,
find a
we're
way to
gonna
make it
be,
more
we're gonna be
compact.
redesigning the letterhead, whoever is gonna take it upon themselves, it could be me, it could be you, it could be you, whoever wants to do it and can get around to it, we'll try to make it as small as possible to save paper, cause that shit adds up.
Right.
And nobody else?
And it used to be a half page, now it's only a third page, but.
Nobody else? No board member comments?
Going.
Cool, adjourned.